A married woman is the most delicious thing. Those were my last thoughts. Suddenly, I woke up in the body of a real scumbag, a violent, jobless deadbeat. This guy was married to a famous singer, and they had a precious daughter. But after he lost his job, he blamed her for all his bad luck. I couldn't help but think, this guy was a total monster. Right then, the mother and daughter were trembling on the sofa after his latest outburst. Shen Zhou and her daughter Wanwan were huddled together. When she saw me staring, she pulled the girl tighter to her chest, eyes filled with tears. She had thought about leaving, but she was an orphan, and that demon, the former owner of this body, held all the money. I sighed deeply. Since I was here now, I had to deal with it. I stood up and flipped the light on. The room was a mess, and I just shook my head. I opened a window to air the place out, then quietly gathered the empty liquor bottles. Shen Zhou stayed curled up, watching me with pure shock. I didn't bother them. Instead, I grabbed a towel and scrubbed the table until everything shined. Soaked in sweat, I finally went to get a change of clothes. From the bathroom, I heard silence. Shen Zhou stared at the closed door, her body tense. She couldn't believe the demon had changed so much. Mom, I'm hungry. Shen Zhou stroked Wanwan's hair, whispering, Be good, sweetheart. Mom will make you something to eat in a little while. She was waiting for me to pass out so they could eat. But then, the bathroom door creaked open. Both of them flinched instinctively. I ignored them and walked straight to the front door. Shen Zhou felt despair sink in. Was I going back out to buy more alcohol? She bit her lip, tears falling. Her daughter, Wanwan, thinking she was the cause of the sadness, wiped her mother's face with tiny, trembling hands. Mom, I'm really not hungry anymore, the little girl insisted. Shen Zhou sobbed even harder, struggling to keep her composure for her daughter's sake. Be good, Wanwan. I'll sing you to sleep, and by morning the hunger will be gone, she whispered, her voice shaking with unshed tears. She sang a soft lullaby, coaxing her daughter to sleep. As Wanwan's eyes fluttered shut, Shen Zhou felt a surge of bitterness and infinite regret. She decided right then, tomorrow she would escape this hell. Dying anywhere else had to be better than being tortured by this monster. Suddenly, the door lock clicked. She froze, instinctively covering Wanwan's ears, listening to every move I made in the dark living room. I stepped inside and looked toward the sofa. My heart sank. They were gone but clearly still hungry. I looked at the bag in my hand. I left the food on the table and walked toward the bedroom. Inside, Shen Zhou was holding her breath, terrified I would barge in. I bought food. If you're hungry, eat, I called out. I'm sleeping in the side room tonight. I heard the door click shut as I walked away. Shen Zhou's eyes flew open. My footsteps faded, leaving the room in a heavy, nervous silence. Her heart was still racing in the dark. Wanwan had heard me too. She looked at the closed door, curious. The dad who usually smelled like booze wasn't coming in, and there was food. She looked at her mother with hungry, expectant eyes. Finally, Shen Zhou gathered the courage to tiptoe toward the bedroom door and open it. The smell of food hit her. Her eyes welled up. I had really bought them dinner. But instead of joy, she felt a deeper, hollow fear. What did this demon want from her? Wanwan, barefoot, scurried out, eyes lighting up at the sight of the meal, though she hesitated to move. She looked at her mother for permission. Shen Zhou took a deep breath, forced a smile, and lifted her daughter up. Be good, let's eat. Wanwan nodded eagerly. From the other room I heard them moving. I sighed and began to think about our grim financial situation. We only had 1,800 left. I needed to make money fast. Suddenly it hit me, this was a parallel world. I grabbed my phone and started scrolling. A smile spread across my face. I remembered everything from my past life. The cultural landscape and entertainment industry here were totally different. Simple, catchy songs were topping the charts. Classic hits from my old world flooded my mind. I was so excited I couldn't sleep, drifting off only when the clock hit 6. I woke up and stepped out. The house was spotless. Shen Zhou must have cleaned everything up after dinner last night. I went to the bathroom to wash up. Usually she wouldn't wake up until 8, but she was likely already awake, just terrified. I finished up and realized we needed supplies, so I headed out to grab fresh meat and vegetables for the morning. Back inside, Shen Zhou was awake but didn't dare move. She watched the door, wondering where I had gone after I finished washing up. She waited a long time. Finally, she gathered her courage and stepped out. The place smelled fresh. The booze stench was finally gone. She stood by the window, stunned by the crisp air. She realized she was only 24. How had she let her life get like this? Suddenly the door opened. She jumped, her body going rigid. I was just as startled to see her standing there so early. We stood there, frozen. I finally saw her clearly. She was breathtaking, far more beautiful than any celebrity I had ever seen. But she was frail and pale from malnutrition. Seeing her like this made my chest ache with genuine burning hatred for my former self. Good morning, I said, breaking the tension. I'm going to start breakfast. I headed to the kitchen with the groceries. She stood there, dumbstruck. She couldn't believe it. I had actually greeted her. Everything had changed. My heart ached, heavy with hate and pure disgust. Such a beautiful wife, so mistreated. What a pathetic loser I'd been. Good morning, I'm heading into... Start breakfast. You broke the silence first, rushing in with the vegetables. Sen Qiuchu could barely believe her eyes or ears. You'd actually spoken to her. Since when did he learn to cook? Senjuchu watched his busy back in silence, a wave of resentment rising in her heart. She bit her lip until it stung, eyes growing wet. What was this? Compassion? A sudden spark of conscience? Just then, Wanwan woke up and, not finding her mother, ran out barefoot. Her little nose caught the scent of food. She turned, eyes widening as she spotted him in the kitchen. He saw her and smiled broadly, but Wanwan was startled and hid behind Shen Zhou. He touched his nose, feeling helpless. Soon the food was ready. He looked at the two standing stiffly away and said, "Wash up and come. Eat." Wanwan was clearly drooling, but didn't budge. Shen Zhou watched the scene with a hint of dread. He had felt a spark of hope, but seeing their defensive posture, that hope sank to the bottom of the sea. He fell silent, sighed again, and said, "You two eat first." Then he retreated into the side room. Shen Zhou stood still, watching the side room door close. Then she looked down, meeting the hope in her daughter's eyes, and sighed. "Wanwan, let's eat." On the table sat millet porridge he had prepared. It was golden and looked delicious. There were also 2 small side dishes and a bowl of steamed egg. When Wanwan saw the egg, her eyes lit up. "Mom, did Dad make this for me?" Shen Zhou was speechless for a moment. She looked into her daughter's expectant eyes and finally nodded. Wanwan's eyes shone even brighter. Impatiently, she took a spoonful of egg and popped it into her mouth. "It's the first time Dad cooked for me. It's so tasty." Shen Zhou ate in silence, her heart conflicted and confused. Her gaze drifted against her will toward the closed door of the side room. He sat at the desk, actually starving, but he knew the mother and daughter outside couldn't sit at the same table with him yet. He shook his head to clear those thoughts, grabbed his phone, and opened the local platforms. He canceled his original account, which had a few thousand followers, and registered a new one. Out of habit, he opened the trending list of the platform. His brows knit instantly. What trash was this? Since when did such repetitive, shallow songs dominate the charts? He already had a plan. He searched the desk for some staff paper that had been stored away for a long time. It was all Shen Zhou's. He spread the sheets out, and his pen began racing across the page. In his original world, he was a songwriter. Now, he was just bridging music between worlds. This minor task wasn't difficult. In a moment, a complete score appeared before him. Impatiently, he grabbed a guitar from a nearby closet, hugged it, and sat straight at the desk. He gathered his emotions, closed his eyes, and his fingers brushed softly against the strings. The guitar sound drifted from the room. Shen Zhou, eating in silence, was suddenly stunned. He knew how to play. How was that possible? That guitar was hers. Shen Zhou knew, at least before, he couldn't play. So what was happening now? Along with the guitar, his voice slowly drifted out. "Because I dreamed that you left." Shen Zhou was even more stunned. Her eyes filled with disbelief. Even Wanwan, eating happily, was drawn to the songs. She stopped her spoon and looked toward the closed side room door with her big blinking eyes. Wanwan knew that was the voice of the dad who had cooked for her for the first time. Though Shen Zhou had never heard this song, she could feel the power it held. It was such a beautiful melody, hard to imagine coming from his mouth. When the next line hit, Shen Zhou crumbled a bit. She felt lost again, afraid of the road ahead, afraid of this person's change. She feared it might be a fleeting dream. The song stopped suddenly. Wanwan noticed her mother crying and, scared, climbed onto Shen Zhou's lap. She reached out, trying to wipe the tears. "Mom, don't cry. Wanwan will blow on it." Wanwan thought her mom's body hurt again. While wiping tears, she lifted her face, opened the collar of Shen Zhou's shirt, and blew air underneath. On her back, scars were visible. Naturally, he didn't know what the mother and daughter had lived through, but because of his song, he opened his account and hit record. In the video, he didn't show his face, just below the nose. He hugged the guitar and cleared his throat. This time he was serious and sang the full song again. When it ended, he saved the recording, trimmed the excess, and extracted the audio. He added lyrics, music, and registered the copyright online. When it was ready, he edited a title, "A Lifetime with You," an original song for everyone. I hope you like it. Please like and support. The video uploaded successfully. He let out a weary sigh, thinking he had finally finished it. Now all that remained was the audience's reaction. In this era, this song was an absolute trump card. He put the guitar back, then touched his hollow, starving stomach. He didn't know if they had finished eating. How hungry he really was. It was a sin. Rubbing his stomach, he couldn't wait any longer. He gently pushed the door, open just a crack, peering out like a thief. He saw Shen Zhou carrying Wanwan away from the table. Her eyes were red, as if she had just been crying. She clearly saw him too. After a moment of shock, she quickly carried the child back into the main bedroom. He sighed in relief, opened the door, and walked to the table. He could finally eat. Seeing that they had clearly left him some food, he felt a spark of joy. He lifted the millet bowl and ate in huge mouthfuls, clearing the table. After washing the dishes, with nothing to do, he walked around the house. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-living-room apartment, only 50 square meters. They bought it together when they married because it was cheap. The furnishings were chosen back then. Now they looked quite old. He shook his head, went back to the sofa, and sat down hard. It was hard to imagine how Shen Zhou had lived there for 2 years with her daughter, barely leaving. It felt like prison. He also knew he couldn't change everything at once, so he could only curl up on the small sofa, playing with his phone, searching for how to support a family, how to make a child happy, and how to be a good father. The answers online were all over the place, leaving him scratching his head. Just then, the bedroom door opened suddenly. He looked toward the sound and saw a small head peeking out. Wanwan tilted her head, opening bright eyes just like her mother's, looking at him with curiosity. Those luminous eyes were full of innocence and clarity, making his heart nearly melt. Except, Wanwan's face was too thin, just like her mother's. If she were a bit rounder, she'd surely be even prettier. It was normal. Before, they could only eat leftovers every day, mixed with alcohol the child couldn't eat. The original owner didn't give them money, so they just went hungry. Seeing Wanwan, he instinctively wanted to smile, but before his mouth could lift, he saw Wanwan get scared and quickly shut the door, fleeing back inside. Senjachu's voice could be heard comforting her. His smile stayed stiff. He touched his nose, feeling innocent. Time passed until noon. He put the phone away and stood up. It was time to prep lunch. Just then, the bedroom door opened. Senjachu, without pressure, came out carrying a pile of clothes. It looked like she hadn't paused. She stood by Soba's sofa and walked straight to the bathroom. He clearly saw her body stiffen when she walked out to wash clothes. Suddenly, he remembered the clothes he changed yesterday were still in the washer. He hadn't taken them out. Thinking of that, he also walked quickly toward the bathroom. Senjochu was very nervous. She didn't expect him to still be home. Normally, by that hour, he would have left to drink with those bad friends. She heard his footsteps approaching and grew even more nervous. Her body trembled slightly. Sorry, my clothes are still in the wash. Can you let me take them out first and hang them up? Senjochu, who was leaning over to open the washer, was startled. Her body even stumbled, and she shrank back into the bathroom. Be careful, don't. I had to say it. Senjochu finally reacted, eyes darting away from me in fear. I just whispered, please you first. My fists clenched, hands shaking. It was hard to hide the rage and pain. I had seen the fresh, angry bruises under her collar. I pulled clothes from the washer. Don't look, I told myself. I'll make lunch soon. Wake Bangwan up for me, will you? Senjochu flinched, looking terrified. I knew my presence was crushing her. I touched my nose, feeling helpless, and carried the laundry out. I hung the clothes. In the bathroom, she sat clutching her shirt, dazed. Only when kitchen heat rose did she start to tremble. She did the laundry, but her eyes kept drifting to the kitchen. What was happening to me? She touched her own nose, startled. Since when did I do that? She stood by the machine, listening to the drum spin, feeling torn. When it finished, she took the clothes to the balcony to hang them. Meanwhile, I was busy in the kitchen. Bangwan woke up on her own, rubbing her sleepy eyes, looking for us. When she saw me cooking, her big eyes lit up. She leaned against the doorframe, watching my back. Senjochu finished hanging the laundry and turned. She saw the scene. The girl full of hope, me working away. Senjochu's spirit crumbled. She leaned against the wall, covering her face as she slid down. Tears fell silently. It was a scene she'd only seen in dreams. I didn't eat with them again. Once the food was set, I left. I walked out quickly. Senjochu wiped her face, got up and brought Bangwan to the table. No one knew how complicated she felt inside. She didn't even know what to think. The food was delicious. The girl ate her steamed egg, but the quiet meal was soon interrupted. The door opened. They both looked up. I walked in with a huge bag of supplies. Bangwan hid closer to Senjochu, spoon still in her mouth. Their eyes followed me. I kept my head down, afraid to look at them. I walked to the sofa, dropped the bag, and spoke up. I bought groceries. Used them. I also bought a toy for the girl. I saw others had them, so she should too. Senjochu didn't answer. I stood there in the silence for a moment. I had to say it. I know you won't believe me, but I'm done drinking. I'm done hurting you. You two don't have to be afraid anymore. She's still so small. This home environment isn't right for her. I let it all out, and my chest finally felt a bit lighter. I didn't wait for her reply. I retreated to the side room in silence. Senjochu watched the door close, lost. This man's sudden change was still too much to process. In my room I felt worse. My eyes were red. I'd been crying outside. If only I hadn't crossed into this world and seen all this. Seeing the scars on her body felt like my heart was being crushed. I couldn't grasp how someone could be so cruel to their own family. They left me food. I came out and saw the gifts on the table, unopened. I bit my lip, sighed, and sat down to eat in silence. Suddenly the bedroom door opened. Bangwan peeked out. I gave her a warm smile. This time she didn't run away. My heart finally relaxed. That little smile was healing me. I put down my chopsticks and gently called out to her. Bangwan. My voice made her tremble, but she didn't shrink back. Instead, she looked into the room, seemingly encouraged, and turned back to me. A soft, tiny voice broke the air. Daddy. My whole body shook, and my eyes filled with tears. The most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. She looked at me strangely, while I cried and smiled. I nodded hard, stood up, and pulled the doll from the bag, waving it gently. I saw a flicker of movement in her eyes. She looked at the toy, then at the bedroom. Finally, she slowly made her way toward me. My heart hammered against my ribs, terrified I'd scare her. She reached my side, tilted her head, and sniffed. Then, she smiled. Daddy, it doesn't smell bad. The doll was pretty. She wanted to reach for it, but hesitated. I understood. I slowly crouched down to her eye level. I gently placed the toy in her hands. She touched the doll's skirt, her eyes curving into happy crescents. Seeing her joy, my heart ached. She was so thin, wearing faded, oversized hand-me-downs. It felt like needles piercing my chest. She was only 3. I gritted my teeth, wiped my tears, and forced a smile while I watched her play. My eyes held nothing but her. Inside the main bedroom, Senjochu heard her daughter's laughter and wept. Soon, Bangwan got tired, hugged the doll, and looked at me. She smiled, then ran back to the room. I didn't know that my song, A Lifetime With You, was already taking the internet by storm. By 10 that night, the video hit 5th place on the trending list. At the DO Sao headquarters, a nervous tech ran into the director's office. Director Yang, we have a situation. A video hit the top 5 in 2 hours. Why are you panicking? Did a celebrity mess up? No, it's not a celebrity. It's a new account registered today. No ad spend. Just a song. Director Yang's face shifted. She opened the trending list immediately. Her surprise grew. It was already 4th. She played it and went completely silent. She'd never heard something so beautiful. She checked the profile Buffon. She told Lu Yun, push this video now. Make sure it hits #1 by tomorrow. Lu Yun nodded. Knowing she'd made the right call, she left. Yang listened again, tapping her desk. She picked up her phone and sent me a private message. I knew nothing of this. I was up at 5, washing up to work out. My body was in worse shape than I thought. I was gasping after a short run. I pushed through an hour to finish 5 kilometers. I got home at 7:30. As I opened the door, I ran into Shen Zhou. She'd just finished washing, hair still damp. She looked scared. I was awkward but asked, is Bangwan still sleeping? Go check on her after I shower. I'll make food. Is there anything you want? No, anything is fine. I'll go check on her. She bolted into the bedroom as if fleeing. I stood there, shrugging helplessly. Post-bath, hunger hit hard, along with the original body's nasty alcohol cravings. I barely managed to prep some food while chugging hot water, just to take the edge off. Right then, Wanwan stood up, clutching the doll I gave her, leaning against the kitchen frame watching me. As I turned, I saw her, and immediately flashed a warm, gentle smile. I asked Wanwan, what do you want for breakfast? Daddy will make it. Wanwan tilted her head, thinking for a long beat. I liked the steamed egg last night. All right then, steamed egg it is, I answered affectionately. I reached out to pat her tiny head but pulled back, afraid of scaring her. No rush, we had to take it slow. She was warming up to me, and that gave me hope. My mood soared. Even the hunger and alcohol cravings seemed to vanish. I set breakfast on the table and, as usual, retreated to my small bedroom to let mother and daughter eat first. But this time, there was way more laughter and chatter outside. I lay on the bed and checked my silenced phone. Wanted to see how the video did. Who would have guessed? The moment I unlocked it, I was completely floored. Damn, look at those notifications. I swallowed hard and pulled up my profile. 1 million followers blinded me for a second. My heart was racing. I opened the video, over 2 million likes and nearly 1 million comments. I couldn't stop grinning. One song and I was famous. Plus the comments were almost entirely praise, begging for another track. Next, time to check the earnings. I opened the internal dashboard, the wallet. The number that popped up made jaw drop. Exactly 320,000 just traffic, and I made 320,000 in one day. After taxes even, I finally exhaled. There was money. Life wouldn't be so tight anymore. Before I only had 1 billion total capital, and I had to count pennies just to buy greens. I quickly moved the cash to my bank card. When they finished eating, I walked out, cleared the table, and did the dishes. Then, grabbing my phone, I hurried out. I'd bought this old place because it was cheap. We used to dream about moving to a better home, but sadly, the original owner not only blew all our savings, but even sold Shen Zhou's phone to buy booze. I headed straight for the mall I remembered. As soon as I walked in, I saw a major national phone brand store. A young saleswoman's eyes lit up when she saw me. Handsome. Looking for a phone? I nodded, looking into the counter. Show me this one. Handsome has great taste. This is our newest model, even supports satellite calls. Do you sell SIM cards here? Of course. Is it for you? I shook my head. No, it's for my wife. The saleswoman looked stunned, a flash of unexplained disappointment in her eyes. Probably thought, good men are always taken. But she didn't hesitate. Your wife is very lucky, sir, but to process the card, the person needs to come in with their ID. Alright, didn't expect card registration to be so strict. Just pack up the phone then. After paying, I rushed off. Still so much to buy. Couldn't waste time. Meanwhile, after I left the house, Shen Zhou cleaned everything from top to bottom. Sitting on the couch, she looked out the window. The place didn't smell like booze anymore. Fresh air felt amazing. Watching Wanwan, playing happily, a smile tugged at Shen Zhou's lips without her realizing it. This life was actually good. But a second later, the lock clicked. That sound snapped her right out of her thoughts. Wanwan scrambled up, clutching her doll, burying herself in Shen Zhou's arms. But who would have guessed? The noise outside was mixed with my voice. Slow, slow, don't scrape it. Stand it vertical, and bring it in. She quickly picked up Wanwan, wanting to run to the bedroom, but she couldn't help but peek at the door. Next second, me and a stranger appeared in her line of sight. We were moving in a cloud-shaped cream sofa. Seeing Shen Zhou, my eyes lit up, and my face beamed with joy. Hey, can you help serve some hot water, so the guys can take a break? Shen Zhou, not having talked to strangers in forever, froze for a moment. Yeah, sure, right away. The smile on my face deepened. Even though I was soaked in sweat, I was full of energy. Then we hauled the new sofa in, took out the old one. Soon came the TV, the fridge, and green plants. As the new furniture piled in, the place instantly felt renovated. I sold the old junk for 800 yuan. Shen Zhou felt a pang of pain seeing it. Even if those things were old, they were still usable. Selling for 800 felt like a loss. But what really bugged her was, where did I get all this money? By her math, we should be broke. After seeing the workers off, I walked back into the living room, lugging a big bag. I scanned my work with satisfaction. Now this feels like a home. I wiped my sweat, set the bag on the new tea table, and plopped onto the soft sofa. Mother and daughter were still standing in the kitchen, stunned. Wanwan clung to her mom's leg, a curious baby looking left and right. Seeing the little one like that, my eyes welled up with joy. I felt a huge sense of accomplishment. I pulled a giant pink toy from the bag and set it on the table, watching her. Sure enough, Wanwan's gaze was hooked immediately. I waved my hand and looked at her lovingly. Wanwan, come quick, see what Daddy bought you. But she didn't run over. She looked up at her mother. Only when Shen Zhou moved her lips, though she didn't say a word, did Wanwan move step by step. I immediately ripped open the toy packaging. It was a princess castle. The princess's house is messy. Does Wanwan want to decorate it with Daddy? Wanwan's eyes lit up, and she inched closer until she hit my legs. I smiled tenderly, took the little princess doll, and sighed. In a soft voice I said, the little princess isn't ready. Daddy doesn't know how to dress her. Can you handle it, Wanwan? As I spoke, I handed the doll over. Wanwan blinked, her big eyes, and tentatively reached out until she touched the doll in my hands. I kept my smile steady, placed it in her palms, and even wrapped my large hand over her tiny one. Feeling the warmth of my palm, her lips curled. Then I picked up a long pink dress. Can you teach Daddy, Wanwan? Teach me, yes. Wanwan felt the heat from my palm, looked at my aggrieved expression, and suddenly smiled. Daddy is so clumsy. Wanwan will teach Daddy. She giggled, showing her white teeth, leaning against my leg. With clumsy movements, she put the dress on the princess. I laughed with her, humbly accepting the little one's teaching, learning how to dress the doll. In that moment, the room became impossibly bright. Shen Zhou was already leaning against the doorframe, watching the scene in silence. Her eyes slowly misted over, but we didn't play for long. I looked up and saw Shen Zhou looking lost. That light blue shirt she wore, washed until it lost all color, looked especially painful right then. I squinted suddenly, and a thought flashed through my mind. That outfit was familiar. She'd bought it behind my back for Wanwan's second birthday. But because of those clothes, she got beaten and her phone was sold. Recalling that scene, I went silent instantly. A second later, I stumbled up, covered my mouth, and rushed to the bathroom to heave. Only now did I realize the disgust and rage that hit when a conscious person relives that behavior in the first person. That sudden change scared the mother and daughter. Shen Zhou trembled, ran to the couch, and clutched Wanwan to her chest. Wanwan curled up tight, fearing that the daddy who vomited might suddenly jump out like before to hit and insult them. After a long while, I stumbled out, miserable, eyes bloodshot. Seeing them scared, my heart hurt even more. My stomach kept turning, but I endured it and spoke weakly. I'm sorry I scared you. I felt sick, inhabiting this demon's body. I felt like a million ants were crawling over my skin as they watched me, alert. I sighed deeply and walked silently into the kitchen. Let her play a bit more, I'll handle lunch. Shen Zhou watched my profile carefully. It was so familiar, yet so strange. That's how it ended. She took Wanwan back to the sofa. The little girl peeked out, relieved to see I was still being the gentle dad. She smiled until the aroma of lunch filled the room. I set the plates down and retreated to the spare room. Shen Zhou moved her lips, but no words came out. Wanwan sat there with her spoon in her mouth. She frowned, looking at her mother. Why wasn't I eating with them? Shen Zhou nibbled a piece of stir-fried meat, my favorite, because I couldn't handle spicy food. She hadn't eaten it in ages. She glanced at the spare room, then turned back, smiling like a spring flower. That's because Mom and Dad aren't ready yet. The girl didn't understand. Inside the bedroom, I felt stunned, repeating to myself that this wasn't my fault. I couldn't change the fact that this body was mine. I pulled out my phone to distract myself. My video was trending, and fans wanted a new song. I heard dishes clinking outside. I put the phone down and walked out. There was food waiting. Shen Zhou was washing dishes, while Wanwan played with her new toy. Seeing me, Wanwan wasn't scared anymore. I smiled, walked over, and patted her head. Then I looked at the kitchen. Shen Zhou stepped out and caught me staring. She tensed, her hands gripping her clothes. Seeing her so submissive made me frown. I sighed. Because she was so timid, the original owner had abused her without fear. My frown relaxed. I grabbed the new phone I'd bought from the tea table and set it down. I spoke softly, looking at her. I bought you a phone, see if you like it. Also, we need to talk. Can you sit for a moment? She had been looking down, but she jerked her head up. The first thing she saw were my clear eyes, then the box. She hesitated. After a while, she replied in a whisper, yes. She walked slowly to the sofa. What did I want to talk about? Her voice was barely audible. I didn't answer. I opened the box, pulled out the sky blue phone, set it up simply, and handed it to her. This is for you. You need to go get the SIM card yourself. I already saved my number. If I'm not home and something happens, call me. I pulled a stack of cash from my pocket and put it in front of her. This is cash I withdrew. If you're free, take the girl out. Being stuck inside isn't good. Buy whatever you need, especially clothes. Yours are too small. And here's a bank card. Carrying too much cash isn't safe. I kept talking, spilling everything on my mind. Shen Zhou just looked at me, her eyes turning red. She took so long to grab the phone. I touched my nose, feeling helpless. Do you not like it? It's the newest model. If you don't like it, we can go get another one. But Shen Zhou, she looked at me deeply. I like it very much. Thank you. Her voice was trembling, thick with sobs. Our eyes met for a moment. I looked away, feeling awkward, but I felt relieved. As long as you like it, there's no need to thank me. I'm going to eat. I stood up and walked quickly to the table, eating in large bites. Shen Zhou still had doubts about the money, but she didn't ask. She just studied the phone. Wanwan crawled over to look at the new thing. Shen Zhou took the chance to pat him. Both of them sat there, investigating the device together. After eating, I was sweaty and wanted to shower, but the two of them stayed in the living room, making me uncomfortable. I retreated to the spare room. By 5, the heat subsided. Shen Zhou hesitated, took the money, grabbed Bangwan's hand, and they went out. It had been forever since Bangwan went outside. She loved going out, but before, Mom and Dad never allowed it. She looked especially happy, holding her doll and her mother's hand. She skipped along, eyes wide. Everything outside was new to her. Shen Zhou felt uneasy, her steps quickening. Seeing people pass by, she felt an inexplicable inferiority. Their clothes didn't fit, and she felt like everyone was staring. The mall wasn't far. It had changed in 2 years, looking much more refined now. As soon as she entered, she saw a phone shop with a SIM counter. She hesitated, then led the girl inside. It was busy. She hadn't talked to people in so long that she felt lost. A saleswoman approached, touched Bangwan's head, and smiled. What an obedient little lady. She came to buy a phone. Hearing someone praise Bangwan, Shen Zhou smiled. I want to get a SIM card. Can I do it now? The saleswoman smiled and led her to the counter. Yes, right this way. We have several packages. May I ask what phone you use? If it's our brand, there's a discount. Hearing discount, Shen Zhou's eyes lit up. She pulled out the phone, asking softly, does this work? I think it's your brand. We bought it this morning. The saleswoman was stunned. Very few of these new models had been sold. She realized these were the wife and daughter of the handsome man from that morning. Why were they so thin? Why didn't their clothes fit? He didn't seem like someone who would treat his family poorly. The saleswoman didn't ask, just smiled. That handsome man who came this morning is your husband? You're so lucky. This is the newest model. With this, you can choose this package. Deposit 100, get 100 back, plus 600 minutes of free calls. She kept pitching, only now the customer was Shen Zhou. A bit dizzy, Shen Zhou paid and got the card. As she left, she recalled the lady saying he was a good man. If he's so good, why not take him home? After the SIM, she opened a bank account and deposited the rest. After the fees, she had 4,900 left. You had given her exactly 5,000. Walking out, she looked at the skyscrapers. Suddenly, she felt alive. She could take her daughter and leave. She could find a job. She could chase her dreams again. This sudden freedom made her stand there for a long time, until a childish voice sounded by her side. Can Bangwan have an ice cream? She was already fixated on a shop nearby. I saw her drooling. Shen Zhou smiled, looking radiant. One only, or your tummy will hurt. Bangwan loves Mom more. You both went out. I bathed, clueless that Shen Zhou might not return. Then I started dinner. I planned noodles, but since you were out, I just prepped the ingredients on the table. I lounged on the sofa, scrolling through parenting tips. How to make a child eat. No. She was so sweet I couldn't touch her. I drifted off, then checked the time. 7 o'clock. Still not back? My heart raced. I grabbed my shoes, ready to hunt, when the door opened. I stood there stunned. A perfumed breeze drifted in. Shen Zhou was humming a cheerful tune. Her smile said it all. She carried bags. Bangwan held her clothes, clutching that doll I gave her. They wore new outfits, looking adorable. They seemed just as surprised to see me. Bangwan ran over. Papa, hearing her say that made my soul take flight. My voice even trembled when I replied. I scooped her up, heading inside. Let's have noodles with 2 eggs. Yes, Bangwan loves eggs. Bangwan loves Papa more. Shen Zhou stood there, ignored. The little one had betrayed her quickly. I served the noodles. I poked her nose, then turned to head to the bedroom, but she grabbed me. Papa, can you eat with Bangwan? I hesitated, glancing at Shen Zhou sitting right there. She stayed silent, staring at her bowl. It was an awkward, impossible situation. A direct answer would have been better than this silence. I tried my luck. I will eat with Bangwan. She patted the chair. I fetched a bowl, sitting down. Mom on the left, me on the right, her in the middle. First time as a family. She beamed, eating a full bowl. She was so happy she didn't stop. Shen Zhou finally stopped her from overeating. But after dinner, playing house wasn't the same. Only I played with Bangwan. Shen Zhou retreated to the bedroom. I understood her struggle. If I had suffered like her, I couldn't forgive, either. I would have been a monster back then. I played until 9. Bangwan was nodding off, but she wouldn't let go of the day. I noticed she couldn't take off her shoes. At 3 she should be in school. My heart ached. That past environment was poison. I couldn't rush her progress, but it hurt to see. Shen Zhou stepped out, watching us silently. I knew what she meant. I kissed Bangwan goodnight. Time for bed, little one. Papa will play again tomorrow. Her eyes fluttered open, then she looked at Mom. She buried her face in my neck. Bangwan wants to sleep with Papa. Shen Zhou's face darkened. The silence was deafening. I looked at Shen Zhou, completely innocent. It was all the girl's idea. Shen Zhou clenched her fists. Ungrateful child, corrupted by sugar-coated words in just 2 days. She got her way. After being bathed, she clung to me like a koala. I felt like a real father. I whispered a bedtime story. Soon she was fast asleep, heart full of contentment. I woke early for a run. I froze. The ointment on the table was gone. My heart soared. Everything felt lighter today. 2 hours later, I returned to wake my sleeping beauty. She rubbed her eyes, and when she saw me, her face lit up with the most radiant smile. She reached out her tiny arms. I lifted her, dressed her in the new clothes, and headed to wash. I had studied how to care for her, but theory is different. Her body was so fragile and soft. I was clumsy. Tying her hair was a disaster. I tried for ages, but it ended up completely crooked. Papa is a big silly. She laughed at her hair in the mirror. I tweaked her nose. She poked back. Shen Zhou saw us and headed to the kitchen. She didn't say a word, but she was smiling. After breakfast, we played house again. This time, I started teaching her simple numbers. I had a secret plan. I wanted to build her curiosity through play, 1 through 10 slowly. It wouldn't happen overnight, but she was sharp. She just needed someone to actually teach her. My guidance was working. Plus, Senjutsu looked different. Brighter somehow. That was a win. While she downloaded apps, I felt hopeful. We were finally finding our rhythm. I watched the two of you interact. You were teaching Van Gogh so quietly, and she listened with such sweet, hidden affection. I had wanted to teach her for so long, but life was just too hard back then. How could I manage? I looked away at my phone. This new model is fast. I barely tapped my screen, and apps were already downloading. Then, I opened WeChat and saw the notifications. Unread messages from Chuchu. She was my assistant for 2 years. My contact list is tiny. Just you, her, and my old office team. Since the wedding, I hadn't replied to her. Seeing her constant check-ins, my heart warmed. I sent a reply right away. I'm sorry. Chuchu, I couldn't reach out before, but I'm doing okay now. Don't worry. Less than 2 seconds later, her reply popped up. Sister Sen, you're finally alive. I thought you wanted nothing to do with me. Since you vanished, there's been so much talk. That awful Liuli. She's been so arrogant. She keeps badmouthing you, saying you deserved it. I bit my lip. Liuli wasn't wrong. I did deserve it. I used to outperform her at the office. She was bound to gloat once I was gone. Chuchu, how are you lately? I ignored her rant and asked about her life. I'm fine, Sister Sen. Don't worry about me. I'm tough. I just really miss you. Sister Sen, will you return to the stage? A flicker of longing hit me. Would I? I glanced at you, then at Van Gogh. The desire faded just as quickly. Probably not, but if you miss me, we should meet up. Meanwhile, at Tianmei Entertainment, Chuchu dropped her heavy gear, phone in hand, beaming. Then a sharp, cold voice cut through her happiness. Chuchu, are you slacking off? Hurry up. You think you're still working for a famous actress? Get out if you're lazy. The woman speaking. Her face was striking, but her eyes were full of contempt. What are you staring at? Move that equipment to the studio now, or you'll pay for the delay. Chuchu rolled her eyes but hauled the gear toward the studio. Okay, Sister Sen. I'm off Saturday, let's talk then. I saw her message, and finally I smiled. I checked for other messages, then switched to Bebo. My last post was 2 years ago, announcing my retirement. My hundreds of thousands of followers had dwindled to a few thousand, mostly bots. But a few old fans were still asking about me. I checked the trends. It was mostly celebrity gossip, but one song was exploding. A Lifetime with You. A mystery singer went viral overnight with one video. Who is he? A deep dive into this new treasure. I was curious. I tapped the title and the video interface opened. The familiar guitar melody started. The room fell silent. Only the music echoed. You turned your head, looking a bit awkward. Van Gogh's eyes widened as she scrambled into my arms to watch the screen. I was stunned. That familiar voice. It was the song from your room. 2 days ago. So that's what you were recording. Van Gogh pointed her little finger at the screen, looking up at me. Daddy. Daddy's on the phone. Yes, that's Daddy. I stroked her hair. Now I understood how you had the money to replace the furniture. The likes were in the millions. How could you not have money? I looked at your sharp profile. My feelings were complicated. Van Gogh, happy with my answer, turned back to you. She held your face in her small hands, her eyes shining. Daddy sings so softly. Van Gogh wants to sing too. Her hands were on your cheeks. You were melting. With your large hands, you lifted her face. Does Van Gogh like to sing? She nodded, her smile growing even brighter. Then Daddy will teach you. And when you learn, you can sing on the phone too. She nodded rapidly, her little head bobbing. Then, happily, she leaned in and kissed your face. You looked overjoyed. Under her admiring gaze, you rushed to the side room, grabbed your guitar, and returned to the sofa. You tuned the strings. Turning your head, you saw both of us watching you without blinking. You actually smiled. Today, Daddy is writing a song. Just for Van Gogh. I'll sing it once, then we'll go phrase by phrase, okay? She nodded, her face full of pure anticipation. It's called Burst of Courage. Listen closely. You gently plucked the strings. A light melody filled the room. Her sense of rhythm. It was amazing. She moved her head and body to the beat. I found myself moving along too. Watching the two of you in sync, my gaze softened. A smile appeared on my face, almost without me realizing it. I joined the rhythm. For the first time, our family was immersed in pure joy. The room seemed to brighten. Following the music, Van Gogh clenched her little fist like a superhero charging forward. You put the guitar down to mimic her, then tapped the tip of her nose. She jumped into your arms, wrapping her small hands around your neck. Daddy, I love this, Daddy. Don't go back to how you were. Her soft voice hit my ear. You parted your lips, and suddenly your eyes misted over. You hugged her tightly, burying your face in her clothes. Daddy will never be that way again. Your voice was rough, but firm. I couldn't see your expression, but I was crying, yet I was smiling too. I knew those dark days were finally behind us. You were the first to pull yourself together. You set the guitar aside and sat her on your lap. Van Gogh, let's learn now. I sing a line, you repeat. Yes, Van Gogh, agreed instantly. The rest of the morning became a father-daughter singing lesson. The house was filled with your voices. Seeing you both so focused, I quietly made lunch. My cooking isn't as good as yours, though. During the meal, Van Gogh kept saying she wanted to eat Daddy's cooking. It made me look at her, with jealousy and pretend indignation. You little traitor, after just 2 days, you've been bought off? This atmosphere felt so natural. It actually felt like a real family. Van Gogh learned so fast. In just 3 days, she could sing Burst of Courage perfectly. At her insistence, you recorded a video of her and uploaded it. In the clip, she wore a pink dress and a bow. Her little body danced to the music. She was adorable. While recording, your smile was so wide it almost hurt to look. Your entire face said, "This is my daughter." That proud, smug look. I watched from the side and almost choked on my laughter, trying to hold it in. It was the first time I'd ever seen you like this. Things were finally improving with Shen Zhou. She even started taking initiative to speak to me. Plus, our second video as Buffon went viral, and it was a song. The song was fresh and catchy. Back at the platform, Lu Jun spotted it instantly. He didn't hesitate, hitting the algorithm to give it maximum reach. Lu Jin was grinning ear to ear like a proud aunt, completely charmed by the adorable little girl and the sweet song. The platform's trending page absolutely exploded. The buzz from our last video hadn't faded, and now this hit hard. It blew up fast. By the afternoon, we had 5 million likes. The comments were endless, so I silenced my phone again that night. I hugged Wanwan on the couch, happily reading through all the fan reactions. Everyone was so witty. My favorite comment had the most likes. If I had a daughter like this, no bad boys would get within 100 miles. Saturday morning, I finished my run and opened the front door. There was Shen Zhou, just stepping out of the shower in a new camisole, drying her hair. Her skin was flushed from the steam. We locked eyes, and a line of poetry instantly popped into my head, like a clear lotus rising from the water. The description fit her perfectly. When she realized I was staring like a fool, she instinctively covered her chest, blushing right down to her earlobes. Even after 2 years of marriage, it felt like we were just starting out. "Good morning," she stammered, trying to keep her cool before scurrying to the bedroom. I couldn't help but smile. I shook off the strange thoughts, hummed a tune, and headed into the bathroom to start my day. Shower, breakfast, wake up Wanwan, the usual routine. When I opened the bedroom door, she was still fast asleep on the big bed, mouth slightly open. With regular meals and sleep, Wanwan looked much healthier. She was still thin, but the change was obvious. I sat on the edge of the bed. I watched her for a moment, then leaned in and gave her little nose a gentle pinch. "Wanwan, wake up, time to eat." She pouted, eyes fluttering open. When she saw me, her lips curved into a smile. She reached out, wrapping her small arms around my neck. "Daddy," she cooed sweetly. I lifted her up. I sat her on the stool by the sink. She had learned to brush her teeth and wash her face all by herself in just 2 days. Shen Zhou walked out then, her long hair tied up in a cute bun. That look really caught my eye. I nodded to myself in approval. She had the vibrant energy of someone in her early 20s. If she were just a little less thin, she'd be even more stunning. She seemed nervous. Her cheeks flushed. It was her first time dressing like that at home. She looked at me, wondering if she looked okay. I was still busy with Wanwan, but Shen Zhou walked toward the table and sat down. My eyes had lit up earlier. That meant she looked good, right? Wait, why did I care what I thought? She puffed her cheeks in annoyance, stirring her bowl. She was angry at herself for being so flustered. I sat down with Wanwan. She chirped mommy and dug into her bowl with her special spoon. "You can come out with us today," Shen Zhou said suddenly. I looked up, surprised. She wouldn't meet my eyes, her ears turning bright red. I nodded. "Sure." We grabbed a taxi to the Yida Mall downtown. Shen Zhou was meeting her old assistant, Sao Chuchu, at a bubble tea shop. Sao Chuchu wanted to meet Wanwan, so I tagged along. Lately, the little one had become my shadow, so I just got to ride her coattails. Sao Chuchu had been waiting, eyes glued to the entrance, excited to see her old boss again after 2 years. She had even bought extra drinks. They had been close as sisters. Sao Chuchu never understood why Shen Zhou insisted on staying with me, a useless man, back then. She had tried to talk her out of it, but Shen Zhou had been stubborn, refusing to listen to anyone. Just as those thoughts crossed her mind, she saw a familiar figure enter, holding hands with a little girl who was skipping happily. Sao Chuchu jumped up, waving. "Sister Sen, over here!" Shen Zhou looked up, a genuine smile forming. Chuchu hadn't changed a bit. She was as lively as ever. As they got closer, their eyes welled up. Seeing each other after so long was emotional for both of them. Sao Chuchu gripped Shen Zhu's hand, eyes red. "Sister Sen, you've lost so much weight. How does he treat you? I'll go teach him a lesson, right?" Shen Zhou bit her lip, sitting down and pulling Wanwan close. "Chuchu, don't worry. He treats me pretty well now. How have you been?" They caught up for a while, both of them relieved to see the other doing okay. Finally, Sao Chuchu turned her attention to the little girl. Wanwan had been sitting quietly. When Sao Chuchu finally got a good look at her eyes lit up. She was a carbon copy of her mother, especially those bright, lively eyes. "Sister Sen, is this Wanwan? She is so adorable." Sao Chuchu knelt in front of her, reaching out to touch her cheek, but then her brows furrowed. Like her mother, the girl was too thin. Sao Chuchu felt a surge of rage. That useless man clearly wasn't taking care of them properly. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She wanted to confront him. Sister Sen, you said he was coming too. Where is he? Senju sensed the hostility but didn't know how to explain. She just smiled awkwardly. Wanwan wanted ice cream, so he took her to the line. Sao Chuchu saw the look on Senju's face and got even angrier. Her cold, gentle sister now looked like she was actually afraid of me. To avoid scaring the child, Sao Chuchu just scoffed, secretly gritting her teeth and planning how to get rid of me. She was about to speak when she stopped abruptly, eyes sharpening as she looked toward the shop entrance. Senju froze, looking uncomfortable. She thought Chuchu had spotted me, but a sharp voice rang out from behind her. Sao Chuchu, you have time for tea? Did you finish the work I gave you? Liuli? No, today is my day off. Sao Chuchu looked terrified like a cat with its fur standing on end. Senju turned and saw Liuli standing there. A popular singer from my old company was still chasing fame. Wait, that's not Sister Zen. She's at home being a great mom. Why is she out hunting for Chuchu? Liuli's eyes were smiling, but her words were pure venom. Senyochu stayed quiet, but Sao Chuchu beside her snapped. Liuli, worry about your own life. It's not work hours, so cut the act. Stop talking like that. Sister Sen, let's go. A mad dog is barking and ruining our mood. Sao Chuchu grabbed Wanwan, took Senyochu's hand and turned to leave. But suddenly, Liuli stepped right into our path. She looked at Senyochu, brows arched, smiling again. Oh, Sister Sen, why so thin? Having a rough time? If you are, just tell me. I'm a generous soul after all. Look at Chuchu, she's doing menial tasks for me now. Doesn't she do a decent job? Chuchu. Sao Chuchu stared at Liuli, face pale. Silence, and Yochu turned to her, eyes wide with shock. Manual labor? How could the company force her to do that? No time to ask, though. Senyochu turned back to Liuli, her gaze blazing. Just as she started to speak, Sao Chuchu stepped up. My contract ends this month, and I'm leaving. Just hope certain people don't climb too high, they might fall harder. If Sister Sen speaks, that person might even have nightmares. Liuli froze. She had a mental scar from Senyochu. After all, Senyochu had outperformed her for an entire year and a half. Back then, nobody even knew who Liuli was, but she soon sneered, looking at Senyochu with pure disdain. A comeback? That's the funniest joke I've ever heard. Who would sign a washed-up artist with a kid? Speaking of, your daughter looks cute. You should train her to be the next big thing. Liuli spoke, with utter contempt, reaching out to pinch Wanwan's cheek. Get your dirty hand off her. I swear, if you touch her again, you'll have nowhere to hide. Your glare was sharp. You stepped quickly in front of Senyochu, handed out the ice creams, and stood between them. Liuli flinched and stumbled back. Your presence felt overwhelming when you were angry, but after checking you out, she just smirked. Oh, it's just the pretty boy. I thought it was someone scary. So what, you want to hit a woman in public? You frowned and turned to Senyochu, eyes questioning. Who is this witch? She's a singer from my old agency. I didn't expect to run into her here. Your anger might not have fazed others, but Senyochu was intimidated. She lowered her head. Seeing that, your frown deepened. You sighed inwardly. Forget her. You turned back to Liuli, looking down your nose. Singer, sorry, I haven't heard of you. I don't know you either. I just know a good dog doesn't block the path. Move, please. You said it dead serious. Liuli's voice turned shrill. As a person, you should know your place. Don't think I don't know you were begging for scraps. Yetian and Chenzwai from Wanwan invited you to drink. And now you're acting tough? You searched your memory for those names. Finally it clicked. They were in the original owner's old group. After he left, he'd actually begged them for attention and drinks. They never gave him the time of day. I'm not close to them. Keep pushing, and don't blame me for calling security. Liuli gave you a vicious look but stepped aside. You grabbed Senyochu's hand, signaled Sao Chuchu to follow, and walked out. As you passed, Liuli looked at Senyochu and taunted. What a pity. You can't sing anymore, can you? My new track drops at the end of the month. She laughed happily. How could she compare to me? Her voice echoed in your ears. Sao Chuchu looked ready to slap her. She knew how much singing meant to her. It was like twisting a knife in a wound. You paused for a heartbeat, shot Liuli a cold look, and kept walking. Senyochu said nothing, just bit her lip. Then a small, clear voice rang out. Mom sings better than you. You're a bad auntie. Everyone went silent. Nobody expected the little one to defend her mom. You froze for a second, then patted her head with a smile. You thought to yourself, incredible, just like my daughter. Your rage, which had been burning, vanished instantly. Ignoring Liuli, you walked away from the conflict. You arrived at a restaurant. Senyochu and Sao Chuchu were talking. There had been things they were worried about, but they hadn't asked until they were seated in private. Senyochu held Sao Chuchu's hand and finally asked, Chuchu, why are you doing menial work for her? And where is Sister Yun? What is she doing now? Sister Yun was the agent. From back then. She was nearly 40 but always brilliant. Hearing the question, Sao Chuchu couldn't hide her sorrow. After you left, it wasn't long before they fired Sister Yun. She looked for work everywhere but failed. Then her mother got sick and she had to stay in the hospital full time. So, she just became a nanny. Senyochu was shocked. A flash of memory appeared. Sister Yun, so decisive and efficient. Both women fell silent. Sen Yochu bit her lip. She knew it was her fault. If not for stubbornness, Sister Yun wouldn't be like this. She'd defied the company so many times. For her, when she had potential, the company didn't care. But when she quit, you can imagine how they treated the agent. The mood turned somber. The group ate quickly. Sao Chu chatted for a while, then hurried off. Sen Yochu's mood remained low. The family of 3 had planned to visit the park, but she had lost the desire. You could feel her pain. You wanted to speak but stayed quiet. Honestly, you didn't even understand why she had been bewitched into marrying you back then. The original owner didn't know, and you didn't either. She wanted to go home and be alone, but seeing the look on Wanwan's face, she couldn't say no. To avoid disappointing the child, you all went to the amusement park. The little one was thrilled. It was her first time, and she pulled your hands, eager to run in. Sen Yochu forced a smile. She didn't want Wanwan's first trip to be ruined by a sad family. First the carousel, then a few more rides. Before you knew it, the sky grew dark and the park lit up. The last ride was the Ferris wheel. When you carried Wanwan in and sat down with Sen Yochu, the girl had already fallen asleep on your chest. The wheel rose slowly, and the city lights below shrank. But you didn't know that Sen Yochu was also visiting for the first time. Her almond eyes peeked out with curiosity, glowing. She looked out the window and you watched her. Maybe she felt your gaze. Her ears turned pink and she gave you a coy, reproachful look. It was the first time you'd seen that side of her, and you were captivated. The lights lit up her slim face. Suddenly it felt blinding. As the wheel reached the top, fireworks exploded across the sky. When the fireworks bloomed, I saw a smile on Senjo's face that could topple cities. A smile from the heart. I stared, stunned, as the Ferris wheel climbed slowly to the peak. The fireworks were even brighter, her face even more enchanting. No need for fear anymore. Amidst the bursting sounds, I spoke softly. She didn't hear clearly and turned to me, questioning. I didn't look at her, watching the fireworks instead, and whispered, "You are too kind. That's not always good. People might hurt you. No need to fear me either. I know you want to sing. I know your dreams. Just do them. I will look after Van Gogh." She didn't respond. When I turned, 2 lines of crystalline tears marked her face. She bit her lips, staring without blinking. In her eyes, a mix of hurt and complexity almost suffocated me. I felt nervous, not understanding why she wept when things were fine. "Who are you, Senjo?" She stared, her almond eyes clouded with... Her clear voice wasn't loud, but it struck my heart. I stayed silent. The air grew still, as if the fireworks themselves had vanished. After a long moment, I smiled tenderly. My voice was a bit raspy. "I am Lufin." She kept watching me. My smile seemed to scramble her heart like a young deer leaping. She hadn't expected my reply. She stared at my clear eyes as her tears fell faster. She hugged her knees, head down, sobbing softly, then spoke. "Yes, you are Lufin. Who else could you be? Let me tell you a story. In an orphanage there was a timid little girl, but there was always a brother, 1 year older, who protected her. One day kids bullied her. He stood in front, taking the blows so she wouldn't be hurt. He was covered in wounds. In her eyes, that brother was her sky. He disappeared, then grew up, and she finally married him." Hearing this, I was speechless. Now I understood. She lifted her head, eyes blurred by tears, looking so lonely and fragile. Finally, she revealed the secret hidden in her heart. No one understood her stubbornness. They thought it wasn't worth it. Only she believed it was, though the result was terrible. She had regretted it countless times, until I appeared. When she asked who I was, saying "I am Lufin" was enough. Suddenly I understood her mood. Seeing tenderness in my eyes, she couldn't hold back. She lunged into my arms, competing with Bangwan for space on my chest. She sobbed quietly. Bangwan woke up, blinking, confused why her mother had taken her spot. The little girl paused, then happily hugged Dad with one hand and Mom with the other, planting loud kisses on both cheeks. Today is the happiest day for Van. Seeing both beauties, large and small, in my arms, I couldn't help but laugh. Life was moving in a good direction. That was enough, though some plans had to change. The fireworks faded, and the Ferris wheel lowered to the ground. Senjo carried Wanwan, walking ahead. I followed. Watching her stride, I touched my nose. After stepping off, she pulled away from my arms and regained her usual cold demeanor. She was nervous. Her hands gripping Wanwan were tense. She felt her ears and cheeks burning. A moment ago, she'd been in my arms, rubbing against me like a young girl. It was fatal. I must have been laughing at her secretly. Leaving the ride, she saw the smile I tried to hide. Thinking that, she sped up, almost like she was in a walking race. I didn't know why she suddenly had so much energy. I almost had to jog to catch up. Past the park gates, she showed no sign of stopping. I had to call out, "Hey, planning to walk all the way home? Let's grab a taxi." Senjo finally stopped, standing by the street without looking back. She was convinced I was mocking her. Damn it, how embarrassing. They waited a while, until I finally got a cab. That made me consider buying a car for the first time. Home, I carried Bangwan to bed, then walked quickly to the master bedroom. Soon I was asleep. Unlike my deep rest, Senjo tossed and turned. Every time she closed her eyes, the scenes from the park played on loop. Senjo pulled the blanket over her face, forcing herself to sleep, but her trembling lashes betrayed her restless heart. At 6 in the morning, I woke like a clock. Running, washing, cooking, waking Wanwan. The routine finished, but Senjo didn't leave the room. Looking at the closed door, I scratched my head. Returning late must have really tired her out. I didn't want to wake her, just left breakfast, then washed and put away the dishes. Leaving the kitchen, Shen Zhou had finally risen, her face slightly flushed. She crossed the room to the bathroom. "Still want to sing?" I asked. Hearing my voice, she seemed stunned, not answering for a long time. I stood by the doorframe, phone in hand, waiting quietly. After a moment, her soft voice sounded by my ear. "I do, just one word, no explanations needed." In her heart, these days were a life she hadn't dared imagine 2 years ago. Singing was a dream, so distant, one she'd buried deep. I didn't ask more, just nodded and returned to the side room, opening the internal private messages. My inbox had exploded since the first video. I'd only checked briefly before ignoring the rest. Now, it was hard to search, but I scrolled patiently, filtering one by one. Suddenly, my eyes lit up. I opened a random message and my fingers tapped the screen unconsciously, considering the possibilities. First, my only goal was money. Once I had enough to support Van Gogh and Shen Zhou, I'd retire. But after yesterday, I changed my mind. The message was simple. Fang Xin Entertainment sincerely invites you to join our team. With your musical talent, we will turn you into an A-list superstar in no time. At the end was a contact number. Fang Xin was one of the 3 giants in the industry. I didn't hesitate, dialed the number, and called. The phone rang a few times before being answered. A mature female voice came through. "Hello, good morning. Who is this?" "Hi, my account is Lufin. I received an invitation message from your company. Is it convenient to talk now?" Back at the remote Modu headquarters, Licia received the call. Her expression flickered. She hadn't expected this creator named Lufin to actually call. It had been days, and she thought he wouldn't get involved in the entertainment world. "Hello, are you still there?" Seeing no sound, I asked. Licia snapped back, unable to hide the joy on her face. Anyone knew who the most popular guy on the internet was. It was undoubtedly that mysterious Lufin. "Mr. Lufin, I am Licia, Vice Minister of Human Resources at Fang Xin Entertainment. Do you want to join us?" "Minister Li, excuse me. I have no intention of entering the industry right now, but I would like to recommend a singer. Does your company have any interest?" Licia couldn't hide her disappointment. She smiled bitterly, shaking her head. She wanted Lufin's. "Mr. Lufin, I'm just a vice minister. If it were you joining with your fame, I could decide that myself. But if she is someone else, you do not need to worry about her talent. The artist I recommend is top tier. I will compose and write all her tracks myself." "I understand your hesitation, Mr. Buffin. I must consult my superiors." "Fine, I will wait for your answer." 5 hours later, they called back. "Mr. Buffin, we discussed it. We can allow your recommendation to join the company. But management feels that, since you only have 2 published songs, and 1 is for children, we need to see more of your actual composition ability." I understand the doubt. 2 songs aren't much. But your response was simple and direct. Lucilla's heart had been racing, but hearing your firm confidence brought her relief. She'd been stressed for days, but she truly believed in your raw talent. Still, the bosses were skeptical. They decided to give you 1 chance. Recently, Wayne had set a difficult challenge for several entertainment firms. They had invited many top songwriters, but every single one was rejected. If you could solve this, they wouldn't doubt you again. "Mr. Buffin, can we discuss the details in person? We need you to come here and write the lyrics and melody on the spot." Lucilla spoke with total sincerity. She was dying to meet this mysterious guy. "You thought it over. Aside from watching the baby, there wasn't much to do, so you agreed." "Sure. When and where?" "In Modu, if possible. Come tomorrow. After all, the sooner, the better for you. It proves your value. Tomorrow afternoon it is." After hanging up, you booked a flight for 10 the next morning. Unexpectedly, you fell fast asleep. When Senyochu returned with Wanwan, she saw you resting. Wanwan walked over and curled up in your arms. In your dreams, it felt like a kitten. "Monster!" You couldn't breathe, so you jolted awake. Wanwan's laughter filled the room. You looked down to find your little daughter covering your nose with her tiny, warm hands. "Daddy, time to eat!" You smiled warmly. Life felt pretty good like this. The smell of food drifted in, making you hungry. Senyochu emerged from the kitchen, carrying 2 bowls of rice. She spoke softly. "I saw you were still sleeping, so I made breakfast. The aroma and taste were perfect." Seeing your praise, Senyochu felt a bit shy. She nodded, headed back, and brought the rest of the rice to the table. As the family ate together, you put some crispy meat in Wanwan's bowl, then turned to Senyochu. "I have to go out for a while tomorrow. Not sure how many days I'll be gone." Senyochu was sipping soup when she choked, coughing uncontrollably. You quickly handed her a napkin with visible worry. She took it, turned away, and wiped her mouth. She was visibly shaken. She didn't know if she should ask where you were going. Only a week ago, she wanted to escape. Now, hearing you were leaving, she felt a sudden resistance. It was Wanwan who asked, "Where is Daddy going?" You patted her head. "Daddy is going to find Mom's song." Then you looked at Senyochu. "Sorry for deciding without asking you. I wasn't ready to tell you before. A company wants me to go talk. If this goes well, you can return to the stage openly." Fansin Entertainment was a solid firm. He wanted her to sing. Senyochu looked at you and you were dead serious. When your eyes met, her vision blurred with tears. Her eyes turned red, softening like water. It was impossible to resist. You quickly looked down and kept eating. Senyochu never expected a day would come where she could sing again, especially with this man taking the lead. "Thank you. I love singing. I love it so much." She spoke quietly, her voice growing firm. She loved to sing and she wanted Chuchu and Sister Yoon to have a better life, free from abuse. Since she met You Choo-Choo had always worried about them. No need to thank me. If you love it, that's enough. You looked up with a gentle smile. The next morning you said, I'll be back fast. 1 or 2 days at most. Don't worry, you hailed a taxi for the airport and turned to her. Senyochu nodded, but her eyes held a hint of reluctance. Clearly, she wanted to escape you before, but now she felt sad at your departure. It's only 2 days. Why do you look like it's a final goodbye? You hardened your heart and looked away. You climbed into the taxi. As the car pulled away, the two figures in the mirror shrank. You closed your eyes, feeling an indescribable weight in your heart. 3 hours later, you landed, feeling the energy of Modu. Unlike Hiansheng, the place was packed. You pushed through the crowd until you hit exit 5 and just scanned the massive group of people holding signs, looking for your name. You had agreed on the time with Lucilla. She'd be waiting there. There were so many fans waiting for celebrities. It took a while. But finally, you saw a tall woman in a sharp professional suit. In her hands, she held a sign that clearly read, Buffon. You walked over quickly and signaled her. Hello, are you Minister Lee? I am Buffon. My real name is Lufon. Sorry to keep you waiting. Lucilla looked at you, a flicker of surprise passing through her eyes, which she hid well. She knew you were young, but not that young, like you just graduated college. Plus you had looked perfect for stardom. Lucilla couldn't help but feel a tinge of regret. If only she could sign you. Hello, I'm Lucilla. It's crowded here. My car is in the underground lot. It's lunchtime, so let's grab a bite and talk details. You nodded and walked alongside her. Lucilla really knew how to navigate the professional world. As you walked, she struck up a conversation. She'd assumed someone so young wouldn't know how to chat, but you kept up with ease. You weren't shy like other kids. That made her value you even more. Truly, excellence finds a way anywhere. You, of course, didn't know she was reassessing you. If you did, you'd be speechless. After all, with memories from 2 lives, you were over 50 years old. If you didn't have at least that level of emotional intelligence, you might as well jump off a bridge. You both climbed into the car, watching the prosperous city pass by. Lucilla pointed out local sights. Soon, you arrived at a classic restaurant. While waiting, she got to business. I'll call you Mr. Liu. Who are you recommending? Is it a newcomer or a pro? I wonder if you've heard of Sen Yu-Chu? She was a singer who retired. This would be her comeback. Your expression turned serious as you talked businesses. Lucilla frowned. She knew Sen Yu-Chu, a popular young singer from 2 years ago, great vocal technique, but the reason she frowned was that Sen Yu-Chu was forced to retire because of a scandal involving a boyfriend who seemed like a deadbeat. That was a PR nightmare. Lucilla tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and stared at you. Mr. Liu, I know who she is. What is your relationship with her? Do you know why she retired? You looked straight into her eyes and said calmly, we are married. She is my wife. A seasoned cop, unflappable after 1,000 cases, finally let her guard down. Was that really him, the legend himself? She had to ask. Did Sen Yu-Chu actually divorce that guy and find someone new? Seeing the look on Lucilla's face, I couldn't help but smile bitterly. You guessed right, I told her. I'm the one who stepped away with her when our relationship went public. I was speechless. I'd heard of Senjochu, but I didn't know who I was dealing with. Male idols usually relied on looks. I never cared for them. Now, I even doubted if you really wrote those 2 songs. She didn't let me think. Seeing her conflicted face, I pressed on. It's hard for her to join your firm. Yes, it's complicated. I'll look for another way. My demands aren't just about entry. I want top-tier resources and freedom. The contract shouldn't shackle her. Ultimately, everything is about profit. With my help, fancy entertainment could hit another level. Think it over. I dropped it all at once, then calmly sipped my water. The Lee girl's expression hardened. She was in a tough spot. We haven't worked together, she said. 2 songs don't prove much. I recognize the vocal talent of Senjochu, but the industry isn't just about vocals. You know that. Getting her back isn't hard, but top-tier resources and contract freedom? We've basically never signed such deals. This isn't small. We need to discuss this. Even without a flat rejection, her tone made it clear it was near impossible. Can we discuss it here? I'll state my stance. It's not just your current problem. In the future, if you need songs or scripts, whatever you need, I can provide them. Still, I hope for a successful partnership. They called me to test my ability, right? I came. Why not decide now? I said this with calm, absolute confidence. Lee looked at me deeply. First time she'd seen someone so sure of himself. Was this the legendary pretty boy? Were people ignorant? After dinner, Lee left in a rush. She had to talk to the company. Before leaving, she handed me a room card. Wait for my news. That was her last line. I reached my hotel room, kept things simple, and lay down. If fancy didn't work, I'd try others. If none worked, at most I'd make money, get tired, and start my own firm, developing quietly with Senjochu. I didn't realize how much my mindset had shifted. At first, I just wanted to be a lazy fish. Now, I was running around for Senjochu. In that short time, I thought of them more. Without knowing, I was part of their small family. Lee called at 3 in the afternoon. She was already downstairs, ready to take me to Fancy. I went straight down to meet her. Fancy Entertainment sat in the most prosperous part of Modu. The whole building belonged to them. Right then, on the 18th floor of the Fancy building, President Li Tian, HR head Zhang Hao, and several managers were present. Zhang's face was sour. President, I have no issue with Vice Minister Li's professional ability. But she values this Lu fan too much. He was a nobody, no works, no track record. Now he sets absurd demands. We're wasting time. Facing Zhang's complaint, Li Tian waved his hand, smiling gently. Young people need opportunities. Let's see his talent. If he's no good, I'm sure my daughter won't push it. Seeing the president's kind look, Zhang suppressed his rage, but muttered internally, it's because she's your daughter. Of course you're biased. Li Tian saw his offended look and kept smiling. As president, he wouldn't just do whatever his daughter said. Actually, he'd heard those 2 songs. He could only describe them as perfect. But he didn't need to explain anything to Zhang. Whether he wrote those songs or not, we'd find out when we put him to the test. Lai arrived with me at the meeting room. From the moment I entered, I saw many famous celebrities. Each was a standout in their field. Truly one of the 3 giants. That level of luxury made one feel an immediate sense of grandeur. The second I entered the lounge, I felt every gaze turn toward me. Different emotions flickered in their eyes. I sat naturally in the guest seat, calm before the whole crowd. A hint of admiration rose in Li Tian's heart. A young man facing such a scene, still so composed. Good first impression. Well, since the protagonist is here, let's start. Mr. Liu, we discussed your demands. Senjochu can sign. Resources can be top tier, but the contract cannot be free. That truly, we cannot grant. No such contract exists. I trust you understand. I nodded. Naturally, I understood. Then what is the contract duration? Li smiled and looked straight at me. 5 years. We will train her with top resources and won't limit her songs or activities. I frowned slightly. I didn't avoid his gaze and looked right back at him. 5 years is too long. I believe in my ability. My resources plus my talent. In 1 year she'll be a top-tier celebrity. Perhaps not even a year. So 2 years is the maximum I can accept. In 2 years, she'll bring the company enough profit. Plus, I can help Fancy write songs for free, but in limited quantity. Talking Big Anyo can do that. Make her a top star in a year? You're dreaming. As I finished, a bald man next to Li let out a mocking laugh and looked at me with contempt. I glanced at him, ignored him, and kept looking at Li Tian. Li narrowed his eyes. His fingers tapped the table lightly. His smile became even more evident. A young man with confidence is good. 2 years isn't impossible, but it depends on your ability. We asked you here to talk cooperation, and because Huayang just launched a national event, every company must join, but only one song gets picked. I want to win. I wonder if you have that capacity? I nodded, thinking that I had come precisely for that event. Vice Minister Li will coordinate the details with you. I await your good news. Once your song is recognized, I'll sign the contract immediately. Li smiled softly and made the call. Everything was settled and I felt relaxed. I stood up, shook Li Tian's hand, and walked out of the meeting room with Li. Li was sighing a bit. She didn't expect her father to accept such absurd conditions. But this activity was vital. It was officially organized, and the company with the chosen song would naturally receive official favor. The benefits were clear. When Li looked at me again, her eyes were complex. She hoped I could surprise everyone. It would prove her vision was right. Then, the gossip inside the company would vanish on its own. Look, these are the event rules. You only have 3 days. I hope you reach your goal. I also hope our cooperation is a success. Li took a folder from the drawer and handed it to me. I opened it, and the first thing I saw was a big title, Ordinary Heroes. Seeing those words, my expression turned serious. I kept reading. The office was dead silent, save for the sound of turning pages. My expression was the most serious it had been since I crossed over. I turned the page. Underneath were several photos. The first showed doctors and nurses in hazmat suits. The second, 3 firefighters behind an extinguished blaze. The third, several soldiers viewed, only from behind, faces hidden. The fourth was a classroom about to collapse. A teacher held a child, passing them to someone outside, while behind him, no one left. He was the last. After reading all the documents, I organized them one by one and took a deep breath. Li broke the silence. Well, can you do it? You only have 3 days. In 3 days, Huayang, I will definitely give you and them a satisfactory answer. After saying that, I picked up the documents and stood up. Then it's settled. Prepare some sheet music for me. I'll return to the hotel to study it carefully. Right, I'll walk you out. She didn't delay. She knew 3 days. Creating a hit song at 9 at night wasn't easy. Fresh out of the shower, I sat at my desk, spread out the sheet music, grabbed my pen, and fell into a deep, silent focus. I spent ages thinking before finally deciding on this one. The next day, after a simple breakfast, I didn't tell Lisi, just grabbed a taxi to Fangxing Entertainment. Lisi was already in her office. She was swamped with work, and when she saw me, she looked shocked. You actually have time to come? You only have 3 days. Don't you need to be writing that song right now? I just smiled at her, watching her jaw drop as I handed over the sheet music. Take a look. Think this works? She stared at me like I was some kind of freak. That composed, professional woman rarely lost her cool. What kind of joke was this? Could a good song really be written in one night? She frowned, clearly worried I was just rushing trash. She took the pages. Yesterday she saw me as steady and talented, but today, this felt like a slap in the face. She looked down at the score, eager to see what I'd actually written. At first she was calm, but as she finished the lyrics, she went pale with shock. They were divine. Every line felt ordinary, yet somehow it revealed something truly extraordinary. The word hero didn't appear once, yet every single line was heroic. It hit the theme perfectly. Lisi couldn't wait any longer and jumped straight to the melody. A moment later, she snapped her head up. Her eyes were bright as she stared at me. Did you really write this in one night? I touched my nose, shrugging. What else? I was up all night working. Does it work for you? Her eyes lit up even more. You are incredible. I knew my choice was right. Can you sing it? I need to hear how it sounds. I nodded and closed my eyes, settling into the mood before starting to sing in a low, quiet voice. A day might come where we drift apart, or maybe we'll meet again. When I finished, Lisi was still lost in the melody. I had to cough twice to snap her out of it. She quickly wiped tears from her face, her eyes shining brighter than ever. It was almost too much to handle. I shifted uncomfortably, asking, does it work? More than works, Lu. I didn't expect such a massive surprise. Suddenly, the office door swung open. Li Tian walked in, clapping. He looked genuinely surprised, followed by Zhang Gao, the HR minister. Zhang Gao looked absolutely stunned. He couldn't believe it. How much time had passed? You really wrote a perfect song that fast? Dad, why are you barging in? Lisi's expression shifted, and she wiped her eyes, glaring at Li Tian with obvious annoyance. But Li Tian wasn't backing down. He kept smiling, though his gaze toward his daughter was strange. How long had it been since he'd seen her act so much like a little girl? If I hadn't come, how would I have known Friend Lu wrote such a masterpiece? I was speechless. He'd gone from calling me Mr. Lu to Friend Lu. I couldn't help but think. Businessmen really treat you like family once you start making them money. You overestimate me, President Li. As long as you're satisfied, that's enough. Very satisfied, Friend Lu. Once Weiyan selects the track, we'll sign the contract with Shen Zhou immediately. For now, I'll sign a cooperation deal with you. That way, you won't have to worry. Li Tian smiled and nodded. I finally let out a sigh of relief. I knew in my heart that this deal was as good as done. The group signed the agreement right there. Once the song was chosen, the partnership with Fang Xing would start immediately. After signing, I said goodbye to Li Tian. President Li, since it's settled, this young man will take his leave. Good. I look forward to our future cooperation. I nodded, took the contract, and turned toward the door. I'll walk you out. Seeing me leave, Lisi spoke up suddenly. I noticed she hadn't looked me in the eye for a while. She seemed embarrassed by her earlier fangirl moment. For a mature woman, that was awkward. But as I turned to go, she looked strangely reluctant. Remember, you still have work to finish, Xiaolu. He's not a child. Why do you need to walk him everywhere? Li Tian spoke before I could even reply. I just smiled at Lisi with gratitude. Thank you, Minister Li, but I'll catch a taxi myself. After saying that, I turned and left the office, gently closing the door behind me. Only then did I walk away with a steady stride. Inside the office, however, Lisi looked like an angry kitten. What's your problem? He just brought the song and you're kicking him out? Zhang Gao, still in the room, felt a sudden chill. He swallowed hard and stammered. Oh, I still have work to finish. I'm heading out. Without waiting for Li Tian, Zhang Gao bolted and shut the door behind him. He wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Li Tian looked at his daughter, not angry, just serious. Sia, you're not a child anymore. You should find a partner. This Lu fellow is quite good, but don't forget, he has a wife, and I hear, a daughter. Lisi was silent for a moment before replying coldly. I know that. I was only walking him out for you. The mature woman regained her cold aura, even intimidating Li Tian. Fine, as long as you know. I just remembered I have work to do too. Li Tian started to leave but poked his head back in. I'm serious, daughter. You're 26 now. You really need to find some. Get out! Right, I'm going. I'd barely reached the hotel and hadn't even booked my flight back when Lisi called. Mr. Lu, I'm sorry. My father's tone wasn't great. I apologize on his behalf. Her voice was cold, as if she were still angry at someone. I was surprised. Honestly, I hadn't taken it to heart. Li Tian was a big capitalist. He'd been polite enough already. As for whether he intended to discard me once he got what he wanted. After seeing all kinds of people in this industry, I understood that game long ago. It's fine, really. No need to worry. Hearing that, Lisi's tones softened. As long as you don't mind, it's fine. By the way, are you already at the hotel? I just arrived and I'm packing my things to fly back to Henan. There was a moment of silence on the other end, then Lisi spoke again. Is that so? Mr. Lu, maybe stay a few more days? If your lyrics are chosen, Weiyan might need your help. After all, you're the one who understands this song the best. Hearing her words, my plans to go home were instantly ruined. A hollow feeling hit my chest. Fine, I understand. I'll stay a few more days. Let me know when the time comes. I hung up. I put the phone down, feeling a bit heavy, and turned toward the fast-moving scenery outside the window. I started missing home. Thinking of Wanwan, I couldn't help but smile. My heart felt connected to them. Just then, a call from Shen Zhou came in. I answered, and Bangwan's voice immediately chirped. Hello, is this Papa? Even though I couldn't see her, I felt a warm, loving smile wash over my face. Yes, it's Papa. Do you miss me? Yes. Mom is asking when you'll be home. Back home, Wanwan was holding the phone with both hands, curled up in Shen Zhou's arms, speaking sweetly. Shen Zhou's face turned bright red. She looked at the little one helplessly. It was clearly her idea to call me, but now she was blaming the little one for it. Tell Mom Papa will be back in a few days. I chuckled to myself. I teased her, knowing she wanted me back, but she used the kid as an excuse. Bangwan whimpered, sounding genuinely sad. I smirked. I sprawled out on my bed and asked if she'd eaten well. Bangwan immediately looked at her mom, then hung her head like a thief. She whispered that she had, but wanted Dad's cooking instead. She sounded so serious that Shen Zhou, listening in, grew furious at the toddler. She already knew how to stir the pot, indirectly calling cooking bad. Shen Zhou heard my laughter on the phone and turned bright red. She snatched the phone away. Talking to Dad ends here. I laughed, telling her I knew she hadn't asked that. Her tone turned even sharper. She was clearly annoyed. She told me not to laugh, claimed I'd only been gone a day, and hung up to start making lunch. I tried to keep her on the line to talk to the kid, but she cut me off. She was clearly flustered and boiling over. Fearing she might lash out, Shen Zhou decided to force Wanwan to eat the greens she hated most. Kids shouldn't be picky, she figured. I felt a pang of regret at the dial tone but smiled. It was the first time I'd seen Shen Zhou act so human and vulnerable. She used to feel soulless, almost oppressive. Now that was changing. She was finally becoming her own person, and that was a good thing. The wait felt endless. August was just days away. I'd been in the city for 2 days, chatting with Lisi on the phone occasionally. Things were less stiff between us. She stopped calling me sir, which had always felt weird. I kept up my morning runs, keeping busy. Everything was quiet, no news from Wayan yet. On the third sunset, I got a familiar unknown call. I picked up, wondering if it was Liaolu. It was Chenson, the original owner's best friend from college. Long time no see, I said, smiling at the memory of his character. Having a sincere friend sounded great. Chenson started scolding me for going silent after getting married, not answering calls or texts. I smirked, listening to his reproaches. Beneath the anger, there was genuine concern that actually warmed my heart. Poor original owner. He'd been too busy trying to please everyone else to care about his real friends. I apologized, promising to treat him to a meal soon. I silently cursed the original guy for not knowing a real friend from a demon. What a mess. We agreed to talk later and he hung up. Right after, Lisi called. My song had been picked by Wayan out of thousands. She was excited and already waiting downstairs at my hotel. They needed to film a music video and wanted me there to guide them as the writer. I went down and saw Lisi fixing her hair, eyes bright. I ignored her gaze and urged her to hurry so we wouldn't miss lunch. I hopped into the back seat, ignoring the front. The director was praising me, worried I'd fail since I was young. Lisi seemed anxious, but I just stayed calm. Seeing my lack of nerves in the rearview mirror, she finally stopped fretting. 2 hours later, we arrived at a building. It seemed Lisi had set this up. A group of people came out to greet us immediately, led by an elder she called Grandpa Lin. She acted coy, which was a bit jarring for a grown woman, but the elder just smiled affectionately. He seemed to really dote on her. She introduced me as the young Lu. He complimented my composure and talent. I thanked him politely, maintaining a light, respectful smile. He seemed delighted, calling me by name, and taking my hand to head for the elevator, ignoring everyone else. I followed, nodding to the rest. We went to the 20th floor and entered a studio. Lin asked if I could sing the song myself, since they hadn't heard it yet. I agreed, asking for a piano. He got serious, clearing the room of everyone else. I sat down and prepared to perform. My entire demeanor shifted. Outside the glass, the group watched, mesmerized by the sudden change in my focus and energy. I started playing. The intro to Ordinary Hero filled the room. The men outside held their breath, eyes locked on me, unblinking. Singing about the joys, sorrows, and separations of life, I poured everything into the melody. When I finished, I took a deep breath. I stood up and walked out. The group was stunned, then burst into applause. Lin was thrilled, insisting I should be the main singer. He felt I had the perfect intuition for it. I felt flattered by the praise from such an experienced man, but I shook my head. I had a better idea. Lin frowned, skeptical that anyone could outdo the composer. I didn't beat around the bush and explain my plan. I suggested children sing it. Their voices are clear and ethereal, and hearing them sing for unsung heroes would send a powerful message. Emotions aside, once I sat down to work, my entire demeanor shifted. I became serious, focused. Lin Cilia watched my expression change real time. She knew this was a pure musician. I started to play. The opening notes of Ordinary Hero drifted through the air. Everyone outside held their breath, eyes locked on me, not daring to blink as they listened. Across the shore, the long journeys, the partings, the joy and sorrow. People gather, then they drift apart. As the song ended, I took a deep breath to settle my nerves. I stood up and walked out of the studio. The group outside was still stunned, staring at me. A second later, the applause erupted. They couldn't help themselves. Lin Cilia was buzzing. She grabbed my hand, eyes burning. Xiaolu, that's exactly the feeling. I don't think we need a new lead singer. It should be you. I have a gut feeling this song will go viral. It'll bring a wave of attention to our ordinary heroes. That's the effect we want. These people, Deliverance, deserve to be heard. Hearing such high praise, even I blushed. Still, I shook my head and spoke honestly. Elder Lin, I won't be the lead singer. I have a better idea. Want to hear it? Lin Cilia frowned. A lead voice better than the composer and lyricist. Seeing her doubt, I didn't beat around the bush, and quickly laid out my plan. It's like this, Elder Lin. This song is perfect for children. Their voices are clear and ethereal. If the flowers of our nation sing for these unsung heroes, the message lands. The message will sink deep into their hearts. Lin Cilia's eyes widened, a genius idea. The kids already had that natural warmth. Combined with your footage, it was perfect. Lin Cilia's gaze turned intense. Even the middle-aged men behind him looked stunned. They had thousands of options but were stuck. You solved it in one sentence. Talent. Interested in joining Wanwan? We won't bury you. He really wanted you by his side. No, I'm just a lazy guy. Helping out is enough one for me. You waved it off. He was speechless. Lazy, huh? But he wouldn't push. He knew where to find you. Leaving the Wanwan building, my head was spinning. Workaholics. Every single one of them. Only Lee Seeley acting spoiled got us out for lunch. Treat me, you'll be rich soon. She teased, tongue out. A mature woman acting like this? Want to exploit a regular guy? Cheapskate. She rolled her eyes and got in the car. I smiled and followed her inside. She was cold outside but warm within. Eventually, I couldn't dodge that lunch date. She drove me to Fanjing Entertainment for the contract. The goal was finally in sight. Her mood felt off in the elevator, quiet and down. I never get what women think. We went to Li Tian's office. He was waiting, the contract ready with his steady smile. Friend Liu, let's cooperate. He handed it over. I sat down and started reading it. 3 copies. Once signed, it was official. The terms gave her maximum company resources. Total freedom. She could do whatever she wanted. Just what I needed. 2 years fixed. Renewals depended on her. I finished reading, stood up, and shook Li Tian's hand. Thanks, President Li. My respect for him grew. No hidden traps in the paperwork. It's mutual benefit. I trust your character. No separate contract for your songs. He stood up to shake my hand. I agreed but made my stance very clear indeed. I write for whom I choose based on art. Don't send just anyone to ask me. He had talent to back it up. He glanced at his daughter and sighed in secret. If she weren't married, he'd push her. But our deal was made. He changed the topic. When are you heading back? I didn't get why, but I answered, going to the hotel now. Packing up, booking my flight. I'm off soon. He smiled, but why so happy I'm leaving? I left. Lee Seeley walked me to the hotel entrance but didn't come inside with me. She'd been moody since we arrived. I'm not taking you to the airport. Do it yourself. I waved goodbye. As I walked inside, she looked at my back, annoyed. Then she sped off. Finally going home, missed my little treasure. Bags packed, taxi called by 6. Walking to the old building, my steps were light. I opened the door I'd missed. Silence. Sen Yuchu and Wanwan weren't there. A sudden sharp pang of disappointment. Then the bedroom door swung open. Sen Yuchu stumbled out, rubbing her tired eyes. Her delicate frame froze the second she saw me. Wide eyes, a beautiful, sleepy mess. We stared at each other in the sunset light. I finally smiled and whispered, I'm back. She flushed deep red, panicking, then pulling up her fallen strap. She stood frozen. This is for you. I pulled out a bundle of lavender I'd grabbed on the street. She took it gently, blushing harder. Her first flower from me. It meant hope. Thank you. She looked right at me, lashes fluttering. Have you eaten yet? Not yet. I'll cook dinner. Go wake Wanwan. She tried to insist, but I stood firm. I'll go wake her. She's been asking for you, she said, heading to the bedroom. The door stayed open. Wanwan was out cold. Sen Yuchu lifted her up so gently. She kissed the little one's face. Wake up, Wanwan. Dad's home. She stirred awake. Those adorable eyes opened slowly, then brightened. Her tiny arms reached out for me. Bangwan missed me so much, clinging to me like a tiny koala. Even while cooking, she refused to let go. Finally, Senjochu stepped in. With a stern look, she used the new toys to lure the little one onto the sofa. Bangwan played but kept glancing at the kitchen, fearing I might vanish again. After a while, dinner was ready. We sat down together, and I noticed Bangwan already had her little chopsticks, slurping up noodles. She devoured them so fast, her eyes turning into crescents. It looked as if Senjochu had kept her hungry for days. Senjochu felt annoyed yet helpless. If her cooking technique was outmatched, she had to accept defeat. She started eating faster too. Why were they never this hungry when we were apart? With me back, they both relaxed so much. Senjochu ate, lost in thought. Honestly, it was a bit scary. They had wanted to get away from me, but in such a short time, you have corrupted them so naturally. Only the sound of noodles remained. Once she finished, Senjochu realized we had already stopped eating. We both stared at her, and her pretty face flushed red. She stood up, awkward, to clear the table. I'll go wash up. You keep playing with Bangwan. She piled up the bowls and rushed toward the kitchen like a gust of wind. I just shook my head. I wouldn't argue over dishes this time. Daddy, come build blocks with me. Bangwan jumped down and pulled me toward the sofa. While I helped her build a little house, she laughed sweetly. I took the chance to casually ask about things at home. She was such a talkative little source of info, especially about her mother. She spilled everything. Mommy misses you too, Daddy. I see her watching your singing videos and smiling secretly. I covered my mouth to hide a laugh. I hadn't meant to ask that, but Bangwan said it so loudly. Senjochu had just stepped out of the kitchen, ready to silence the little traitor. Her face was bright red. Her eyes were cold as she glared down at the child who sold her out for my affection. Bangwan suddenly noticed, saw her mother's burning face and froze. She hid in my arms, whispering, I don't see Mommy, I don't see Mommy. Senjochu couldn't help but laugh in frustration. She patted the girl's bottom, her eyes locked on my grinning face. Don't listen to her nonsense, I don't. Mommy is lying. Lying isn't nice, Bangwan shouted, her face buried deep in my chest. Senjochu looked ready to explode. I held up both hands in surrender and completely exposed the little one. No, I don't believe her. He who knows the situation is a hero. Poor Bangwan. Senjochu snatched her up, playfully teasing her. The girl's eyes sparkled like stars, reaching out to me for help. I sat there unmoved, I couldn't believe I'd sold her out to mommy for the sake of home stability. I had to let my little treasure suffer for a moment. After we played, I patted her head and stood up. I took a folder from my bag and placed it in front of Shen Zhou. Mission accomplished. Seeing my serious expression, she blinked, her heart clearly restless. In just a few days, I had actually brought back a real contract. She took the folder. As she read to the end, her hands began to tremble. It was a contract she hadn't dared to dream of. Top-tier treatment and complete freedom. Even if she hadn't retired years ago, she never would have gotten a deal like this. She wondered how I managed this and what I had sacrificed to get it. She looked up dazed. Tears welled in her eyes and she just stared at me. I kept my gentle smile, acting as if it were all light and easy. After a long moment, she spoke softly. Lu Fan, I can actually choose not to sing. Her voice was low but incredibly firm. I frowned slightly confused. She loved singing. She wanted to sing. What did this mean? I didn't understand what was going through her mind. You always wanted to sing. Now there's an opportunity. Why are you backing out? My tone was sharper. As a lifelong bachelor, I just didn't get it. Shen Zhou was in turmoil. Suddenly, she felt this current life was fine. If she sang again, she feared things would change. She feared it wouldn't be like this anymore. She bit her lip and looked at me, tears rolling down one by one. I'm scared, she said slowly. I'm scared that bad changes will happen in the future. It was the first time she'd been so direct about her fear. I was stunned, then my frown melted, and I smiled calmly. It was a very warm look. I took a tissue and gently wiped the tears from her face. Shen Zhou, what kind of person do you think I am? Seriously, just relax. Whatever happens, nothing will change. After all, I'm ready to be a full-time father. She never expected me to say that, especially while I was wiping her tears. Having gone so long without such closeness, she lowered her head, shy. Her flushed face turned completely crimson, leaving no room for her messy thoughts. I thought she was still overthinking things. I knew she just feared change. Anyone locked away for so long would have that mindset. So I added, I mean it. Wanwan stays with me. I'll take good care of her. And look at the contract. You have freedom. You can come back whenever. Don't worry about home. Just take care of yourself out there. I kept talking, but she didn't hear a word. Her mind was stuck on the moment I touched her face. Wanwan had been secretly watching us from the sofa. She clearly saw Mommy's head down, a smile finally playing on her lips, while Daddy kept talking away. The little one didn't know what was happening, only that Mommy seemed happy, and Daddy was looking after her. She ran to my legs, looked up with big eyes, and spoke on a whim. Daddy, Wanwan wants to sleep with Daddy and Mommy together tonight. As soon as she said it, I froze. Shen Zhou looked up at her, stunned. My heart hammered like it was about to jump out. Seeing that I wouldn't agree, Wanwan started her act, rolling over my legs. I swallowed hard and turned towards Shen Zhou. Her neck was completely red, her eyes avoiding. She panicked, nearly collapsing, and bolted toward the bathroom. I'm tired, I need to wash up and sleep, she stammered, fleeing in total chaos. Only Van Gogh and I remained. We stared at each other. I was lost, but then Van Gogh hopped off my lap and hugged my neck. Mama said as long as Papa is ready. It's fine, she told me. I turned toward the closed bathroom door. I could hear the faint sound of water. Okay, I thought. I took a deep breath. The scent of milk from the little one gave me courage. I knew I was doing this entirely for Van Gogh. After a while, Shen Zhou came out, walked to the bedroom, and didn't even glance at the sofa. Only then did I stand up. Bang, bang! I carried her to wash up, then cleaned myself quickly. Holding the little one, my heart began to race. It was such a short walk from the living room to the bedroom. It felt like a marathon. By the time I stepped inside, my mind was a blank slate. I'd never felt this before. I honestly wanted to run for help. What now? Shen Zhou was already under the covers, lying on her side, facing away. I couldn't see her face, just those glowing flushed ears hinting at her state. I shut the door softly. The click made her belly flinch, but she stayed still. I decided to just let it go. Being nervous wouldn't fix a thing. Might as well sleep. I felt my tension drain away. I placed Van Gogh in the middle, sat on the edge, hugged her, and began a bedtime story. Tonight, Daddy tells the tale of Snow White. My voice was a soft hum in the room. Her lashes fluttered. Her racing heart finally began to slow down. Before she knew it, she drifted off. Van Gogh followed suit soon after. The night was deep. Seeing them both breathing steadily, I killed the light and climbed in. That faint, familiar scent clung to the pillow. The first time I realized how fragrant a woman's pillow could be. I held Van Gogh, comforted by the smell, and fell deep asleep. No interruptions all night. At 6, my internal clock kicked in. I woke instinctively, pulled the soft body in my arms closer, and then I froze solid. Wait, when did Van Gogh get so big? I swallowed hard, peering under the blanket. Who was this? Not my little girl, it was Shen Zhou. I was stunned. How? A faint perfume filled my senses. The delicate body in my arms was warm and soft. My resolve shattered instantly. I leaned toward her pretty face, then stopped. A fierce mental battle raged. I saw her long lashes stir, which panicked me into sitting bolt upright. I silently eased my arm out from under her neck. With my body hunched, I scrambled out of bed, sprinting to the bathroom to splash my face. I was so frustrated. Such torture this early in the morning. What I didn't know was that as soon as I left, Shen Zhou opened her almond eyes and exhaled in relief. She hid her burning face, wishing she were invisible. By the time I sat up, she had already been awake. She had no idea when she'd rolled into my arms or used my arm as a pillow. It was mortifying. Then she felt my breath on her face. Her heart panicked. What was I going to do? Kiss her? She was terrified and could only keep on pretending to sleep. Luckily, I stopped in time, otherwise I wouldn't know how to face her. But as I pulled away and left, she felt a strange, lingering sense of loss. She only knew her heart was a mess. After a long while hidden under the duvet, she let out a deep sigh. She decided to let things just be. She huddled there until 8. When she finally heard the door open, she got up and fixed herself. I was already in the kitchen cooking. I greeted her awkwardly. Morning. She sounded just as stiff, avoiding my gaze entirely. She gave a soft reply and slipped into the bathroom to wash up. I kept on cooking. I didn't expect her to be so fast. She headed straight for the kitchen. Need help? She took the bowl from my hand, naturally and expertly washing the rice. I was stunned for a second, then happily accepted. I stepped aside to wash off the greens. We moved with the rhythm of a couple together for years. 20 minutes later, golden millet and 2 sides were ready. After hanging up her apron, she naturally headed to the bedroom to wake Van Gogh. We had a happy breakfast as a family. Afterward, I looked at Shen Zhou. By the way, you're reporting to Fansin Entertainment in August, right? She sat on the sofa. Her eyes blinked. Before that, I need to bring Choo back and find Sister John. If they know I'm returning to the stage, they'll be so happy. She wore a genuine smile. When she had quit so suddenly, they were the two she'd failed the most. Now, even if not for herself, she had to try for them. I nodded, stroking Van Gogh's hair. I was already brainstorming songs for her. This was her comeback battle, and it had to be won in style. Her voice was versatile. Sweet or sad, she handled it all. There were too many choices. I couldn't decide. After thinking, a different thought occurred to me. By the way, let's buy a better car in a few days. Van Gogh starts kindergarten in a month. It'll be more convenient to drop her off. Plus, even if Fansin gives you a work van, you'll need your own for free time. She thought about it, agreeing. She'd always been a homebody, so it didn't matter. But now that she'd be out often, being without a car was a hassle. She worried about my bank account, though. I'd spent so much on furniture and that trip. And school fees were coming. As she thought, her brows furrowed with worry. Let's just get one first. You're home more. It'll be easier for you to take her around. I'll have the company car. We can buy another later, when you earn more. She figured that once she had songs and albums out, they'd have income. She sighed, anxious about when she'd actually get those new songs. Even with a top-tier contract, there was still a freedom of songs clause. She wondered how I'd negotiated that. If they gave top resources, why not provide songs? She doubted it. She didn't know many composers. Thinking of composers, she suddenly froze and looked at me. My face looked so calm. I seemed to know how to write songs, though she wasn't sure when I'd learned. I'd taught one to Van Gogh on the spot. I knew exactly what she was worried about. I waved a hand calmly. Don't worry about the money, just let things play out. There will be cash in a few days. Sunday, my music video went live. It was posted at 8 sharp on the official account and shared by every department. The lineup was unprecedented. Of course, even with a huge launch, the audience wanted quality. If it didn't land, nothing else mattered. But online, there was a saying going around. If it's produced by Buffon, it's gotta be good. Seeing my name attached, everyone was instantly hooked. I never acted, but I always surprised them. They clicked one after another. When the music and the final frame faded, my figure still hadn't appeared. Still a mystery, yet everyone was satisfied. Those images from the video burned into everyone's hearts. Even after it dropped, for a long time nobody liked or commented. It was like everyone had collectively vanished. In the meeting room, Lin Seeley stared at the live data, baffled. Over 100 million people were watching, but why 0 likes? Did people hate it? Lin Seeley felt crushed, rubbing her slightly red eyes, struggling to accept the silence. But then, in the very next instant, the video stats just took off. Likes and comments flooded in, an unstoppable surge. Never seen anything like it. In a heartbeat, likes jumped from 100,000 to 5, 10, even 20 million. Total chaos. Users just wanted to see Wayne's music video, but after hearing my lyrics and music, they were hooked. They were deeply moved. Empathy hit everyone hard. The video rocketed straight to the top of the charts. Cheers erupted in the boardroom. Linksy clenched his fists, watching the numbers climb. They were finally feeling it. Half an hour later, the popularity exploded. Every corner of the internet was buzzing about this music video. Someone noticed the audio-only version was free. Everyone rushed over to download, share, and hype it up constantly. The whole entertainment industry shook. Every company, every person, they all shared that video in silent, stunned awe. They were all jealous but had to roll with it. Right then, Shen Zhou, curled in my arms, was sobbing. She wiped tears on my shirt, looking so small and hurt. It broke my heart. Why cry so much? She seemed so wounded. Finally, she realized what I'd been doing. Writing, working with Wayne, securing that huge deal. She didn't know. It hurt her that I'd done so much without telling her. She felt my struggle. Meanwhile, at Tianmei Entertainment, Liuli's face was dark as a storm. Her agent, Sister Yin, looked livid. The room felt suffocating. Not far off, Xiao Chuchu smirked, clearly enjoying the downfall of her rival. Liuli glared at her agent. My song was set for late July. Why did they push it to August? I bought the trends, yet they stall me and hog the spotlight. Sister Yin, give me an answer now. Sister Yin snapped back. She was already furious. You want an answer? Don't yell at me, Liuli. Go ask Wayne. Who knew this guy Buffon would drop a hit, that forced them to pivot. Liuli kept pushing. Sister Yin frowned. They were tied together. They couldn't just quit. She smiled maliciously. We will do this. Liuli knew she had to agree, cursing Bufan internally for everything. Seeing Xiao Chuchu smirking, Liuli lost it. Hey, don't you see this mess? Get to work, Chuchu. Chuchu just laughed. Sorry, my contract is done. I quit. This old lady isn't serving you anymore, okay? Chuchu sat there, legs crossed, sipping tea. Liuli stood frozen, turning shades of purple, unable to speak. Meanwhile, the three of us went for lunch and took a taxi to the car dealership at 4. A salesman beamed at us. With his experience, he knew a sale was likely. He looked around hopeful. We had researched our choice. Do you have the top trim H9? Yes, the salesman's eyes lit up. The top trim H9 costs over 300,000. We have 2 ready for immediate delivery, sir. Gold or gentian violet. He led us inside. Violet seems deeper, we agreed. It's elegant and very classy. Good taste, sir. That color really matches your wife's temperament. He showed us the car with pride. Go ahead, try it out. I smiled. No, you go, Chuchu. Take Wanwan. I saw her eyes sparkle. She blushed but took Wanwan and sat inside. She'd always dreamed of her own car. It felt surreal. The car was sleek and powerful. Seeing her so happy, I pulled out my card and license. Take it all. The salesman was grinning ear to ear. I'll get you the best discount, I promise. We didn't wait long. He returned with the contract. We sat in the lounge to finalize everything. 385,000, taxes and plates included, plus floor mats and a cover. We have a deal. I swiped the card without a word. Everything was settled. We'd pick it up the next morning happy. We got home by 5. Just as we arrived, my phone rang. It was Lisi. Congratulations, you're famous. I laughed. Not keen on fame. Your company got a huge boost, didn't it? Thanks to you, talent. Let's talk business. When is Shen Zhou coming in? Lisi teased. I looked at Shen Zhou, eavesdropping, and smiled. 2 or 3 days. We have things to settle here. Lisi waited, curious about the woman behind me. The dealership was fast. By 10 the next morning, the car was ready with plates and insurance. Shen Zhou went to pick it up alone, while I stayed home with Wanwan. She drove back smoothly. She headed downtown to pick up Chuchu and Sister Yun for fancy entertainment. She was ready to work. Even though I told her there was no rush, she insisted. Singing was her dream, not just being a trophy wife. She wanted to prove herself. Right then, Shen Zhou felt ready to start her new life. I didn't know Chuchu had quit. I drove to the Tianmei Entertainment Building and only then called her. I wanted to surprise her. She picked up quickly. Her face... Chuchu was smiling, her voice bright. Chuchu, guess where I am? She was in her room, packing after quitting, planning to head back home. She had already decided. Just then, my call came through. Sister Zen, if you aren't home, where else? Sicily, I'm downstairs at your office. Come down. Hurry, I have news. Sister Zen, wait, I'm coming. Chuchu felt a sudden rush of nerves. Why was I at her office? For a moment I didn't know how to tell her I had resigned and was heading home. Luckily, her place wasn't far. She ran down, breathless, scanning left and right until she heard me. Chuchu, I'm here. She turned, seeing me step out of a new car, waving. Sister Zen, you bought a car? Chuchu's eyes crinkled. She walked over, staring at the car in disbelief. Would that man really buy a car for me? Did he not treat me well? I just smiled. I took her hand. Yes, we just got it. I'm here because I have some things to discuss. Do you have time? Only then did she notice I seemed different. My skin was glowing, my face fuller, my color better. Most of all, that confidence was back. Seeing my old assistant, my eyes filled with longing. I grabbed her hand. Chuchu, be my assistant again. Let's call Sister Yun. I'm returning to the stage. Those words. She was stunned. She couldn't believe it, but the next second she jumped for joy. She knew life finds a way. Sister Zen, what a coincidence. I just quit. We can fight side by side again. I, however, was stunned. I only just learned she had quit. Immediate guilt and sorrow poured into my heart. I'm sorry. I was too impulsive. It was my fault, and I dragged you both down. Let's look ahead. I'm returning then. Let's go find her right now. Chuchu gave me the address. I knew Sister Yun was at the hospital caring for her mother. I didn't waste a second. I told Chuchu to get in. We sped toward the hospital. On the way, she looked at the new interior, curious. Sister Zen, does he know you're back? I nodded, a smile tugging at my lips. He knows. He even helped negotiate this contract. This car? He bought it for me too. That one sentence. How? Sister Zen, are you pulling my leg? I shook my head and dropped an even bigger bomb. It's true. He helped me land a top-tier contract with Fangxing Entertainment. Chuchu was completely floored. She couldn't grasp how he had secured such a deal. Seeing her silent, I continued. He treats me quite well now. Don't look at him that way again. She finally snapped out of it. She pouted and joked. Sister Zen, you're defending him. I'm jealous. This is too easy. I blushed but didn't deny it. We reached the hospital soon. Standing before room 302, my heart raced. When I knocked and saw Sister Yun, I nearly teared up. Her hair once had gray now. Her firm face looked worn. She looked like I used to. Seeing me, Sister Yun was equally stunned. We stared at each other, speechless. Chuchu rushed inside, breaking the silence. Sister Yun, I'm here with Sister Zen to see you. Only then did she react. She rubbed her hands, panicking. You came? Why didn't you call? Look at me. She forced a smile. My mom is fine. One more surgery. But that smile hid bitterness. She was at her limit. She owed over 100,000. The next surgery wasn't covered. How could she pay? I stepped in, with my head down, biting my lip like a child who messed up. Sister Yun reached for my hand, smiling with relief. You came? Seeing you like this, Makes me so happy. It means you're doing well. Before, I stopped you for your own good. Don't take it to heart. I couldn't hold it back. Sister Yoon, I'm sorry. I threw myself into her arms, tears falling like rain. She patted my back, comforting me. No need to apologize. What mother blames her child? I truly treated you like my own. Hearing that, I cried harder. She held me until I was exhausted. I lifted my swollen red eyes, looking at her kind smile. I pressed my lips together. Sister Yoon, I'm returning to the stage. Will you be my agent again? She froze and frowned instantly. What about your daughter? Don't worry, he'll look after her. To her, Lu Fan wasn't the type, but I nodded. Lu Fan is Bangwan's father. He'll care for her well. I trust him. She rubbed her temple, suppressing doubt. Even if he can, returning isn't easy. Do you have a company? What resources will they give? Before she could finish, I pulled the contract from my bag. Sister Yun, look at this. Fang Sing Entertainment. She was stunned instantly. That was one of the big three. She took it, doubtfully it carefully. But the more she read, the more shocked she became. Her hands shook. What divine contract was this? Had I kidnapped the owner? Top resources. Total freedom, 2-year term. It was essentially a power move. She snapped her head up, voice trembling. This is real? Of course it is. The seal is right there. I explained quickly, fearing she wouldn't believe me. But she was stunned, unable to process the clauses. In her life as an agent, she had never seen this. It was absurd. Fang Xing had gone mad. Sister Yun, I report in tomorrow. Seeing her doubt, I emphasized. She finally believed, but her shock remained. Chu, tell me truthfully, how did you sign this? I finally sighed, my face turning slightly red. Lu Fan went to them and got it for me. He wrote a song for Fang Xing. That one phrase made her question reality. Lu Fan wrote songs and got such a deal? That was pure fantasy. It was too much. Chu, don't blame me for doubting. He writes songs? What song is worth a contract like this? Don't let him trick you. Did he really? Seeing she still didn't believe, I opened my phone to the Bufan account. She took it, and Chu leaned in. My goodness, over 100 million likes! Chu shouted, covering her mouth. It was a hospital room. Sister was also stunned. What video could get that many likes? She saw the name Bufan, and behind it co-created with Wanwan. Bufan? Wanwan? She lifted her head, bewildered. An absurd idea struck. Lufan? Chu whispered. Bufan, the most popular mysterious guy on the net. Seeing that under the pressure, Sen Yuchu blushed even more. Finally, Sister Yun came back to reality. With a complex look, she handed the phone back. Of course, she was happy for Sen Yuchu's future. But a second later, she sighed. Sen Yuchu, with your skills, you can find a better agent. I'm quitting. Why, Sister Yun? Don't you want me anymore? Sen Yuchu exclaimed. Sister Yun looked at the room, helpless. You saw it, she said. My mother needs care. I can't leave. We can hire a nurse, Sen Yuchu countered, but Sister Yun looked pained. Where would she get the money for a nurse? Going with Sen Yuchu would only hold her back. Sen Yuchu, don't keep pushing me. You have to take this chance. In the future, don't be so whimsical. After saying that, Sister Yun turned away coldly, refusing to look. Sen Yuchu bit her lip, unable to understand why she wouldn't just go. She arrived with hope and left with disappointment. The drive home was silent, but when I opened the door and saw her, I stopped dead in my tracks. She had been crying. Did things go okay? I asked directly. Who would have thought that the moment I spoke, Sen Yuchu's lip would tremble? She collapsed onto the sofa. Seeing me, she seemed to find her support, and tears began to well up again. Sister Yun won't go with me, she said. I frowned. Why? In my memories, that strict woman was the one who loved Sen Yuchu the most. Sen Yuchu tearfully recounted everything that happened at the hospital. I listened in silence, then nodded thoughtfully. I get it. I stood up suddenly. You're a fool. Stay here with Van Gogh. I'm heading out. Where are you going? Sen Yuchu asked, looking confused and upset. Maybe it was because I called her a fool, or because she didn't want me to leave. I turned back, a small smirk on my face. I'm going to bring someone important back for you. I found a domestic service company first, then drove straight to the hospital. I didn't look for Sister Yun yet. I spoke to the attending physician to understand the situation. After learning about the mother's health, I went to the ward. Standing outside room 302, I composed myself, put on a cold expression, and knocked. The door opened and Sister Yun appeared, eyes red. She was stunned to see me. I spoke calmly and with authority. Sister Yun, aren't you going to let me in? She frowned, but stepped aside. As soon as I entered, a thin gray-haired woman looked at me. Xiao Yun, is this your friend? Sister Yun hadn't even answered yet. I walked quickly to the bed, took the woman's hand and said, Auntie, my wife is a friend of Sister Yun's. She came to visit, but you were asleep and she didn't want to disturb you. The woman smiled kindly. So, you're Xiao Yun's friend? How thoughtful, I continued. Auntie, having Sister Yun as a friend is our luck. My wife talks about her every day. I've heard about her so much I practically have calluses on my ears. I changed the subject and kept talking. It's a shame. My wife wants to work with her, but she's worried about your health. You don't know how sad my wife was when she came home. She cried so much. Sister Yun's face changed instantly. She thought I was just an envoy for Sen Yuchu. She didn't know the specifics of her daughter's work. Hearing that, the old woman's brows furrowed immediately. Mom, don't listen to him. It's not a job, Sister Yun said furiously. But the old woman wasn't a fool. She grabbed my hand and said, Young man, tell me, what job is it exactly? I pretended to be hesitant, looked at Sister Yun, then spoke slowly. Auntie, this job requires travel. We wanted to hire a nurse for you, but Sister Yoon won't rest. She insists on caring for you herself. Xiao Yoon, child, the old woman turned to her daughter. If the work requires travel, then go. Mom, Sister Yoon hurried to protest. In her heart, she hated me. She knew she couldn't leave because she had no money for a nurse. She hadn't even secured the money for the next operation. Just then I spoke calmly. Sister Yun, let's go talk outside. I smiled at the old woman and turned to leave. Sister Yun followed. She raised her head, glaring at me. What are you trying to do? I spoke like I was stating a fact. Consider me a benefactor. I don't just want Sen Yuchu to be happy. If you don't go with her, she'll always worry about you. Even if she has 10 parts of passion, she'll only ever give 5. I paused. Then I dropped a heavy bomb. By the way, I've already paid for your mother's next surgery. I also contacted nurses. Here's the number, you choose. Are you giving me charity? Sister Yoon let out a furious laugh. I shrugged like a rogue. You're overthinking it. You can pay me back later. It'll be deducted from the salary Sen Yuchu pays you. I stared her down. You and the others go with Sen Yuchu, not the company. I don't care how much she pays you. Regardless, this is my money, and you have to pay me back. I opened my hands. You and Chucho follow Sen Yuchu, not the company. Her salary doesn't matter. This is my money, pay me back. You held your hands out, looking like someone who... I already paid the surgery and the caregiver fees, so they won't refund that. Whatever happens next isn't my problem. I didn't even let Sister Yun react. I turned and left. Don't tell Shen Zhou. Just as I reached the doors, Sister Yun called out behind me. I didn't look back, just waved my hand and kept walking fast. Sister Yun watched me go, her expression unreadable for a long moment. She finally returned to the room. Xiao Yun, that young man is already gone, she said. The elderly woman patted the bed for her to sit. Don't blame him, he's a good person. Mom has seen many people. I can tell what kind of person he is. She held her son's hand, her voice deepening. Mom knows you're filial, but life has many paths. Choose wrong and you'll regret it. My body is fine. One more surgery will fix me. The doctor said the risk is low. If you regret this later because of me, Mom would be even sadder. Sister Yun bowed her head in silence for a long time. She finally nodded softly. When I got home, Sen Zhou approached, her face full of curiosity. I acted like I didn't see her and happily picked up Wanwan. What do you want for dinner? Sen Zhou's expression froze. She looked at me in disbelief as I walked right past her. Whatever Dad makes, Bangwan wants, the little one agreed. She didn't notice Mom's face had fallen. All right, Dad's going to cook now. I kissed the little one and turned toward the kitchen. Lufan, I'm angry, Sen Zhou said. She pouted, looking aggrieved. Her expression accused me of ignoring her, as if I didn't know how anxiously she'd been waiting. I turned around with an innocent face. What happened? That question annoyed her even more. Before I left, I'd called her a fool, and now I was playing dumb. She plopped onto the couch, crossed her arms and turned away. I just smiled. Tomorrow, remember to take your 2 loyal bodyguards. With your personality, without them, you'd be pushed around. Sen Zhou's eyes lit up instantly. The speed of her mood shift was impressive. Sister Yun agreed. What do you think? Fine, I'm going to cook. Stop bothering me. She never managed to ask how I pulled that off. Every time she started to ask, I played dumb, but that only made her look at me with more shine in her eyes. In her heart, she felt that since I changed, there was nothing I couldn't do. The next morning, Sen Zhou woke up early. For once, I didn't go for a run. We had a silent understanding and made breakfast together. Bangwan was still asleep. She couldn't bear to leave once she woke up. She ate in silence. I sat beside her, giving constant instructions. Call me often when you get there. Bangwan will miss you. If anything happens out there, tell me. Don't be silly and hide it in your heart. Sen Zhou sipped her porridge, bite by bite. Hearing my words, she felt a sudden sense of loss. She didn't want to go. She ate slowly until the bowl was empty. Her phone rang. I reminded her, and she snapped to reality. Hello, Sister Yun, I'm ready. Sister Yun is with me. When are you coming? I'll be there in a moment. Wait a bit longer. Fine, see you downstairs. After hanging up, Sen Zhou lifted her head. She looked into my eyes, and that complex expression made my heart tremble. I had to admit, Sen Zhou was truly beautiful. I quickly turned toward the luggage in the living room. Time to go. Don't keep them waiting. Yes, I'll look at Bangwan's time and leave. Sen Zhou looked away, speaking very softly. I nodded and walked with her to the bedroom. The little one was sprawled out, unaware her mother was traveling far away. Sen Zhou leaned down, kissing her face repeatedly. Then she buried her face in her neck, rubbing against her. She finally stood up, reluctant. She left the room, looking back every 3 steps. I followed in silence, helping her load the luggage into the car. Seeing her sit in the driver's seat, I shut the door. I'm leaving. Sen Zhou turned and looked at me. Remember to come home often, or the little one will throw a fit. I know. The car started suddenly. She turned her head again, with a serious expression. Lufan, I like you. Before her voice faded, without waiting for a reply, the car sped off. All the way to the city center, Sao Chuchu waited anxiously. Beside her, Sister Yun shook her head. That girl was still so impatient. Sister Sen. Seeing Sen Zhou's car, Sao Chuchu waved quickly. Chuchu, Sister Yun, have you waited long? Sen Zhou took Sao Chuchu's hand and looked apologetically at Sister Yun. Not long. This girl was just in too much of a hurry. Sister Yun smiled. She never imagined the 3 of them would reunite, all because of that man who looked like just a pretty face. Sister Yun, thank you for coming. Without you, Chuchu wouldn't be okay. Well, you're a mother now, yet still like a child. Sister Yun patted her hand firmly. You should thank your man. Enough, let's load the luggage. That phrase made Shen Zhou blush instantly. She still didn't know how I had convinced Sister Yun. Their luggage wasn't much. The car held it easily. After they got in, Sao Chu waved and shouted excitedly. We're off. A bright path ahead. Here we go. The car headed toward Modu. At the same time at the Fansin Entertainment building in Modu, Licia arrived early but was distracted all day. After waiting until noon, she checked the time and went downstairs. She wanted to see what kind of woman that guy adored so much. She didn't wait long. A car with Yangcheng plates entered the lot. Licia narrowed her eyes. 3 people stepped out. One was talkative, youthful, and full of energy. Another was older, with a face full of affection. Seeing her friends, she knew Shen Zhou's character couldn't be bad. Then she looked at the woman in the center. Oval face, soulful eyes, a soft smile. Seeing her made people feel compassion. No wonder Lufan acted that way for her. Licia composed herself and walked over quickly. Hello. You must be Shen Zhou. I'm Licia, Deputy Minister of HR at Fansin Entertainment. Welcome. Hello, I am Shen Zhou. Her voice was soft and sweet. She also observed the mature woman. Very good temperament, pleasant voice, surprisingly clean and pure. But Licia thought, such a good woman, how was she fooled by Lufan? Licia was the first to look away, toward Sao Chu and Sister Yun. These two are Sao Chu, my assistant, and Sister Yun, my agent, Shen Zhou replied seriously. But she felt that mature woman was very kind to her, even if her reaction was odd. Shen Zhou tilted her head in doubt. Suddenly, she thought of something, and her eyes dimmed. You brought your own team? That's fine, it's more convenient. Licia nodded and looked back at Shen Zhou. I'll take you to see the place first. After all, for the next 2 years, you will work here. They followed Licia inside. Along the way, Sao Chu was shocked. It was much more luxurious than Tianmei Entertainment in Yangcheng. You could see trending celebrities everywhere. The branch couldn't compare. In Yangxingcheng, a second-rate singer like Liu Li acted like she owned the place. Licia took the elevator to the 11th floor and introduced it enthusiastically. This floor is all recording studios, with top-tier professional equipment. Now the 12th floor, where the artists' private lounges are. That's where creation and scheduling happen. During the tour, many people greeted Licia, wearing strange, fawning expressions. Shen Zhou didn't understand. Even more so, why were people looking at her with jealousy? She didn't get it. Licia wasn't just HR. Why were the looks so weird? Most absurdly, she even saw a man. The HR minister Sangao actually stopped just to greet Licia. Shen Zhou was stunned. Who knew he was this kind? At Tianmei, leaders usually acted superior. But Licia stopped, pointed down the hall and said, "This is your private lounge, Shen Zhou." Zhu looked up. A keypad lock. Her name was on the door. Licia tapped in 66 and explained. "Change it whenever you want. Come on in." The door swung open. Zhu gasped. The room was massive, the decor stunning. It was so luxurious she nearly fainted. Thinking back to her old cramped kennel at Tianmei, the contrast was painful. Without guests around, she would have rolled on the sofa. Licia smiled at her shock. Not everyone gets top-tier treatment like this. Suddenly Lufan didn't seem so bad. Even after they left, Yuchu was still floating in pure bliss. Then, a door opened next door. An elegant woman in heels stepped out with an assistant. She glanced at them, surprised, then spoke. "Li, bringing someone to see the lounge yourself?" "Yes, you heading out, Lena? I have a fan meeting. Carry on." Lena barely glanced at Yuchu before gliding away. Licia turned back, her smile returning. "Time for us to go too. The meeting rooms are dull, so let's skip them. I'll drop your bags and treat you to lunch." Yuchu felt overwhelmed. The company vibe was great, but something felt odd. In the elevator, Yuchu whispered, "Minister Li, are you and Lufan close?" Licia froze. The atmosphere shifted. Yuchu looked down, feeling a strange tug in her chest. "Well, I handled his arrival in our partnership," Licia said quickly. "So we know each other." Yuchu just nodded quietly. Outside, Licia led the way in her Mercedes, Yuchu following close behind. Once inside her car, Yuchu couldn't stop raving about the place. It took a sharp look from Sister Yun to finally make her hush. "What's wrong?" Xiao Chuchu leaned over the front seat. "Curious." "Nothing, Chuchu. Keep driving. That was just nothing." Xiao Chuchu didn't get it, turning to her sister. Yun, seeking help. But Sister Yun just smirked at Shen Zhou, saying nothing. One look told her someone had fallen into a jar of vinegar. "Back home, you were a total wreck. Your wife had been gone since noon, and your daughter Wanwan was already sobbing for mommy. You tried everything to calm her, but she only wailed louder, calling you a silly dad for hiding her mom. You made faces and sang The Little Tiger, but Wanwan's tears kept falling. Her legs kicked hard, as if she wouldn't quit until she saw mom. You scratched your head. What could you do? You couldn't call Shen Zhou back right now. She'd laugh at you until she died. Just then your phone rang. You glanced at it, and the next second your eyes shone with gold. Your savior had arrived. It was a WeChat message from Shen Zhou with just 2 words. "Are you?" You typed back, "Of course," not expecting her to reply. "Today at noon. I ate with Minister Li." "What the heck?" No time to overthink. You started a video call. Shen Zhou's cold, pretty face appeared instantly. You smiled adorably, held the phone up to Wanwan. "Mommy, Wanwan misses you." Who knew Shen Zhou's face would ice over? "Lufan, is this what you call taking good care of Wanwan?" You pretended not to hear. Seeing Mom, Wanwan wiped her tears, looking aggrieved. "Mommy, Daddy hid you. Do you not want Wanwan anymore?" Shen Zhou softened immediately. "Wanwan, be good. Mommy just went to work. I'll be home soon. The little girl stopped crying. Your heart took a 10,000-ton hit. You had been making faces and singing, but it didn't help as much as one sentence from her. After comforting her, you turned the phone toward yourself. Your eyes wandered. But Shen Zhou hit you with a direct question. Can you really look after her? You flared up instantly. Who are you looking down on? It was just an accident today. If you were out, it'd be the same. You couldn't call Wanwan either. Yet, Shen Zhou just looked at you. Deeply. Her eyes dipped slightly. Suddenly, she asked casually, you and Minister Li are quite close? More or less, you replied, oblivious that you were testing a madwoman. Madwoman, Shen Zhou repeated, her tone thin. A chill ran down your spine. You adjusted your clothes. The next second, she shot you a reproachful look and hung up. Only then did it click. She was inexplicably angry. You had been shot while just lying there. For the next 2 days, Shen Zhou called home daily, but only to talk to her daughter. She wouldn't give you a nice look, as if you owed her 8 million. You had no idea that Shen Zhou's career was in a dead end. The company hadn't given her any notice. Her agent, Sister Yoon, contacted every composer she knew, but once they heard it was for Shen Zhou's comeback, they all refused. A washed-up singer who retired 2 years ago? Who would write her songs? Shen Zhou was also stressing over compositions. She'd been trying for days, but inspiration wouldn't strike. She couldn't help but think that if you were there, you'd surely write a hit. Feeling discouraged, she felt she wasn't as good as you at anything. Just then, Assistant Xiao Chuchu blurted out, Sister Sen, why don't you ask Lu Fan? Shen Zhou had left precisely because she didn't want to rely on you anymore. She thought for a long time before speaking. Let's wait 2 more days. If it still doesn't work, I'll call him. But she didn't know that at that very moment, a meeting at Fan Entertainment would decide her fate. Before President Li Tian lay an invitation, the new Song Encounter program, the most famous style competition in the country. We have 2 spots. Discuss who should go. An elegant man in gold-rimmed glasses, Operations Minister Jin Ping, spoke first. I think Chen Jian should go. She has a sweet image and solid popularity. Most nodded in agreement. Li Tian decided on the spot. Chen Jian takes one. Before the words left his lips, the Human Resources Minister Sang Gao stood up. President, I think Shen Zhou can go too. Li Tian finally remembered she was your recommendation. Before he could speak, Jin Ping jumped into a pose. Minister Shen Zhou can't. Even a rookie would be better. She has no popularity, no new hits. She retired to marry, and her public image is terrible. But Sang Gao argued firmly. That's exactly why we should choose her. I heard her old tracks. Her technique is great, plus she's gorgeous. What? Can't we pick her? Jin Ping frowned with disdain. Minister Sang, you handle HR, I handle operations. I understand better than you what a singer needs. Popularity. We aren't a charity. Why give her a stage? Who would have thought Sang Gao would smile, dropping a heavy bomb? Minister Jin, if you want to talk about popularity, do you know who recommended Shen Zhou? May I ask, Minister Jin, how is Lu Fan's popularity? And what if he writes songs for her? Hearing the name Lu Fan, Jin Ping went silent. Immediately. How could he dare say Lu Fan lacked popularity? That was the creator of addictive viral videos with 50 million followers. An absolute top tier. Jin Ping glared at Sang Gao, asking resentfully, are you sure Lu Fan will write songs for her? President Li Tian finally spoke, closing the debate. Fine, don't argue. It will be Chen Jian and Shen Zhou. Notify them. The meeting ended. Sang Gao left happy, the first time he'd beaten his rival. At the same time, the entertainment world began to stir. Lu Li from Tianmei Entertainment also got the news. Her agent, Sister Yin, ran in, shouting excitedly, Lu Li, good news. The company wants you a new song encounter, and they hired a famous composer to write you a song. Lu Li was stunned, the polish in her hands smeared. She snapped her head around, eyes full of disbelief. That's the new song encounter. It could push me to the A-list. After confirmation, she jumped from her chair. I'm going to be famous. When she heard the name of the one writing the song, she grew even more arrogant. The godfather of music, Gu Mian, it's like they're kissing my feet. Joining forces with Gu Mian, ha! Sister Yin, watching her arrogance, could only sigh helplessly. While Lu Li indulged in joy, your wife Shen Zhou also got the company call. The content was the same. In 3 days, she would participate in new song encounter. After hanging up, she was stunned. Assistant Xiao Chuchu was so excited she nearly lost it, grabbing her shoulders and shaking her hard. Sister Sen, it's new song encounter. But after the joy, a massive problem appeared. They had no song. Her agent, Sister Yoon, looked grave. Returning to the stage, via new song encounter is great, but we need a hit. They divided the work immediately. Sister Yoon desperately contacted every composer she knew, while Shen Zhou could only sink into trying to write on her own, hoping for a miracle. You knew nothing of this, still teaching your daughter, Wang Wang, nursery rhymes at home, wearing a gray wolf headband and making her laugh non-stop. By 7 at night, after getting Wang Jane to sleep, you finally calmed down. You kept thinking about what song to prepare for Shen Zhou, but with too many divine tracks in your head, you couldn't decide. You opened your phone, and scrolling through, it was all your songs. Fans had even turned Wang Wang's expressions into stickers. Looking at the phone, you couldn't help but smile bitterly. Wife, how are things on your end? When will you come for me? You scrolled through videos and found that besides your songs, the most popular thing online was new song encounter. The competition was annual, and whoever entered became a star. The format was simple and brutal. One-on-one duels. Loser goes home. You had no interest, and after scrolling a bit, you were actually annoyed. How many times did I hit snooze and fall back asleep, only for a call to wake me? It was Sao Chu-Chu, Shen Zhou's assistant. Her voice was a whisper, as if she were committing a crime. Keep it down, she's obsessed. I frowned, waking up instantly. What happened? Sister Zen is supposed to be in the new singing contest. We don't have a song. She hasn't slept all night. My head started throbbing. I remembered the contract clearly. I was the one tasked with writing her songs. I was here in my own world while things were in flames over there. Got it. I'll call her. I hung up and dialed Shen Zhou immediately. She answered, voice weary. Hello? Wanwan, do you miss me? My heart soured, and I answered playfully. Wanwan doesn't miss me? Can't you call me your husband? It was my first time saying it to her. There was a dead silence. I sighed, breaking it. Why didn't you tell me? This is an easy fix. Why wear yourself out like this? For you, it's just a matter of a single sentence. But the moment I spoke, a suppressed sob came through. She was crying. I was completely lost. What did I say? Feelings are hard. Before I could process it, a tearful shout exploded on the line. Lufan! Her voice was full of grief, and it squeezed my heart. I was stunned. It was the first time she'd called me by my full name like that. Do you think I'm useless and can only depend on you? I realized it instantly. She actually thought that. My mistake. I quickly smiled to calm her down and cut in. I'm sorry, I wasn't blaming you. I'm just worried about your health. Who knew that as soon as I spoke, Shen Zhou would laugh? That laugh was full of bitterness and a hint of stubbornness. Then, my voice turned firm. Shen Zhou, you and Wanwan are the best gifts heaven gave me. You're my one and only wife. No one can replace you. Those words were like a bomb in her heart. Shen Zhou's face turned bright red instantly. She whispered yes, and her mood visibly improved. Sao Chu-Chu, peeking from the side, was wide-eyed with shock. I took the moment. From now on, no more silly thoughts. I'll send the song tonight. Shen Zhou, hearing my words, full of confidence, let out a laugh. Fine, I'll see what kind of song Mr. Liu can write. She completely gave up, stopped fretting, and as the tension broke, sleep hit her fast. After hanging up, I let out a sigh. Consoling a wife is harder than consoling a child. I grabbed pen and paper but hit a wall. There were too many godly songs in my head. Which one? Just as I opened the window, irritated, a young couple was saying goodbye below. The boy dragged a suitcase. The girl had tears in her eyes. Love flows with the wind. The wind rises, signaling unfinished love. A light bulb went off, and I had the answer. I walked to the desk, grabbed the pen, and wrote 3 characters. The wind rises. Notes flowed from the pen tip. I lost myself in it until my daughter Wanwan said, Papa, I'm hungry. Only then did I return to reality. I immediately smiled. My treasure is hungry? Papa will make food right now. My daughter's words were an imperial decree. I didn't dare delay a second and headed straight for the kitchen. 2 hours later, father and daughter, full and satisfied, collapsed onto the sofa. Just then Shen Zhou video called. She had dark circles, a tired face. Seeing us so lazy, she immediately made a pitiful expression. Her almond eyes seemed to accuse us. I work outside, you enjoy life at home? How could I resist that? I raised my hands. I wasn't just sitting around. The song is done. Wanwan also raised her little hand, mimicking me. She said in a milky voice, Wanwan wasn't sitting around either. I watched 2 fewer cartoon episodes and learned 5 more numbers. Shen Zhou gave up. She admitted. She couldn't beat that little devil. Fine, our Wanwan worked the hardest. Come, let mommy give you a kiss. The little one immediately gave a loud kiss. I saw an opening. I turned my face and leaned in. Haha, don't I get a reward too? The little one encouraged me from the side. Shen Zhou's face went completely red. In the end, she couldn't resist our enthusiasm, and she gave me a symbolic kiss. I felt my heart bloom. I ran to the bedroom, grabbed the sheet music, and said, look, I didn't lie. I really finished it. Shen Zhou looked at me with a look full of charm, but a massive storm rose in her heart. Only a few hours had passed, and a song was already out. This man was simply a monster. The family of 3 chatted a bit more. Then I took photos of the sheet music and sent them over. I put the phone down and got ready to take the kid out, but Shen Zhou called again. As soon as I answered, she stared with burning eyes. What's wrong? My voice even stumbled. She mimicked my tone and asked, can I call my husband if there's nothing wrong? Perfect. She wasn't just beautiful. She was petty. I laughed to cover it up, but who knew she would suddenly ask, what are you hiding behind my back? I scratched my head, looking innocent. Shen Zhou's pretty face flushed, and her voice rose. I mean, your songs, those things. I could only touch my nose and try to brush it off. You think? And suddenly, my mind just lit up. Shen Zhou looked at me deeply and didn't keep asking. She lowered her head to look at the lyrics. After a long while, she spoke softly, thank you. Then she looked up and smiled with extremely firm eyes. I won't let this song be buried. After hanging up, Shen Zhou knocked on Sao Chu-Chu's door. Sao Chu-Chu opened it with surprise. Sister Zen, we have a song. Lufan gave it to us. Perfect. This girl spilled it immediately. Turned out she'd told her about my struggle. Then Sister Yun was called too. Hearing there was a song, she was thrilled. These days, she'd been hitting walls everywhere, and now, finally you wouldn't have to look at others' faces. The 3 raced to Fangzhen Entertainment, straight to the 11th floor studio. Shen Zhou decided to camp out there. Time flew. Sao Chu-Chu handled the backing tracking the rights, and only then did Senyochu step out of the studio. But just as they prepared to eat, the door across opened. A girl came out. Seeing Senyochu, she was stunned for a moment, but still nodded kindly. Senyochu smiled back. However, the man behind her, with a high upturned nose and gold-rimmed glasses, had an arrogant face. Senyochu didn't know him, and turned to leave, but the man let out a cold snort. You have no vision. You see a superior and don't even say hello? The girl Chen Chen explained quickly. Uncle, she just arrived. How would she know you? Turns out this man was the high executive Jim Ping, and Chen Chen was the singer participating in the singing contest alongside Senyochu. The most unexpected thing was that Chen Chen thought she'd received a song from Lufan, so it couldn't be bad. She was also your fan. Over the next few days, Senyochu went out early and returned late, practicing with everything she had. Sister Yoon posted online the announcement of her comeback. However, the few thousand followers left were mostly inactive accounts. The announcement dropped like a stone in the ocean without causing waves. Only a few old fans and small media outlets with sensitive noses noticed. Seeing the words new singing contest, wasn't that traffic? So, news about Senyochu's comeback started appearing all over the net. But most didn't care about that old outdated star until August 7th. The new singing contest officially opened at the Modu Stadium. Only this time, the show director, Ren Chao, was very worried because a Lufan song had been trending the whole time, so the traffic for his new contest couldn't compare to years prior. But an annual program couldn't be delayed for one person. He could only start this edition by force. Unfortunately, he couldn't contact Lufan. If he could invite him as a mentor, wouldn't the traffic explode? But he never imagined that this great character he couldn't invite was sitting discreetly among the crowd, hugging his daughter like a thief. Yes, I hid it from my wife. I snuck my daughter Wanwan to Modu just to support her live. The little one in my arms was super excited because she'd soon see. I scanned the crowd looking for support. Nothing. Even the live stream comments ignored Senyochu entirely. 4 favorites, including Liuli, who had dared to threaten our daughter. Backstage, Liuli's face was livid. She glared at Senyochu. Why are you here? Her friend Saochuchu snapped, humiliating her on the spot. Liuli remembered years of being suppressed by her. She felt like a queen had returned. Pure fear. Her agent's words cut through. She has nothing now. Liuli calmed down. What could she compete with? She sneered at Senyochu. The stage lights flared. The host appeared, and the competition officially kicked off. The rules were brutal. 16 singers. The crowd chose the matchups randomly. No room for any secret rigging. The big screen spun, locking in the duels. I scanned the list and smiled. The host announced, Senyochu versus Liuli. The lights dimmed as they walked out. I saw Senyochu's hands trembling slightly. She felt the pressure. Liuli looked dark. She hadn't expected this matchup either. The audience began murmuring. They were whispering, asking who this beautiful stranger was. I saw her nerves and acted instantly. I hoisted Bangwan high. She became a human support sign, beaming, shouting with all her might, Mom, go! Senyochu saw us. The nerves vanished, replaced by a radiant light. She smiled that same, tender, motherly smile. The announcer declared she was up first. Lights faded. The room went silent as the intro played. The screen displayed the song title, The Wind Has Reason. Below the songwriter credit, the crowd gasped. An unknown singer scored a song by the mysterious Buffon. Backstage, Liuli's hands shook uncontrollably, then singing. Hard to break free from the world's grandeur, drunk on love, sinking into it. Dead silence followed her. Everyone was mesmerized, mourning their lost youth. Senyochu poured her soul out, eyes locked onto us. I give my youth back, with the summer slipping through my fingers. A divine, heart-wrenching, perfect performance. The song hit home. Everyone remembered their own unforgettable person from youth. This was the wind rising. Backstage, a crash. Liuli collapsed, face pale as ash, her spirit shattered by such a perfect song. She had lost the nerve to perform. Senyochu's vocal technique had completely crushed her pride and ego. Her agent sighed. Even the mentors looked envious. When the music stopped, the silence was deafening. Senyochu looked lost. I caught her eye and smiled. Bangwan clapped her small hands for mommy. Then thunderous applause roared like a breaking dam. The audience wept, giving her their warmest, loudest support. The livestream exploded. Buffon is a genius. This isn't just wind, it's a tornado. Nobody doubted her anymore. They thought she was filler. She was a blockbuster. She bowed deeply to us and walked away. Liuli's turn. She walked on, feeling deep powerlessness. She was a half-beat late as the music started. The audience booed. Her heart raced, her voice faltered, and she went completely off-key. A total disaster. The crowd's scattered applause made her want to run. But the director didn't care. The point was, the result was no surprise. A 5-0 blowout. A message appeared, meet me at the back. I grabbed Bangwan and left early. Backstage, Saochuchu hugged her. Don't cry, it only gets better now. Senyochu held her hand. Let's go, Buffon is waiting. She only wanted to see us and hug Bangwan. Outside, the sky was dark. She saw me standing under the street lamp, holding our daughter. Pure happiness. Bangwan wriggled out of my arms, running to her. She knelt and hugged her tight. Surprise, good? She blushed, eyes curving into crescents. Yes, a great surprise. But she didn't see Liuli watching us. Liuli held her phone, recording our backs with venomous eyes. A plan to ruin her reputation blossomed. Online, everyone wondered about this treasure of a singer. They checked her profile and saw the truth. A retired star from 2 years ago, forced out by a relationship scandal. The media vultures circled. The internet split. Some said she shouldn't return, others cared only for the music. Intense, heated debates. Until one line shut them up. Just ask yourself, is the song good or not? They were silenced. Fanshin Entertainment intervened with a statement that lit up the web. Not just congratulations, but a reveal. A heavy bomb. Shen Zhou would perform another Buffon track, and a full album was coming after this. The internet went into shock. Shen Zhou and Buffon topped every trend, but a malicious post was rising. The title was disgusting. Shen Zhou's marriage fraud with the mysterious Buffon. They claimed it to destroy her. Buffon's charm seduced countless marketing accounts, fueling a viral one-sided commentary. Turns out, it was all a ruse to sell a lie. Their accomplices. Despite fans defending Buffon, dissent was crushed. Within an hour, that post and Shen Zhou's name dominated the trending charts. You'd just finished your morning run, oblivious. Meanwhile, Shen Zhou stumbled out of her room, exhausted from a sleepless night of turmoil. Her mind kept replaying you holding her hand at the hotel. Seeing her state, Sister John and Sao Chuchu assumed it was the drama. So Chuchu rushed over, worried. Sister Sen, what did Buffon say? Shouldn't he step up and clarify this mess? If you speak, it backfires. But Shen Zhu's mind was blank. She stared at Sao Chuchu, confused. Clarify what? What happened to Buffon? Sao Chuchu realized she knew nothing. She stomped her foot. You're still thinking about him? He's fine. But you're the one in trouble. Check your Weibo right now. Shen Zhu felt a sinking dread. She opened her phone. A flood of malicious DMs and comments hit her. Her hand trembled as she read. 9 out of 10 messages were vile insults. She saw the viral posts and the relentless marketing shares. Silently, she set her phone aside. Her calmness was chilling. It scared Sao Chuchu even more. Sister Sen, aren't you going to do something? She just patted her hand. Chuchu, the innocent stay innocent, but public opinion doesn't care if you live or die. Her lashes fluttered. A storm raged inside. Because you used an alias for your songs, you didn't want your identity exposed. She couldn't reveal you. The internet demanded answers. Finally, Shen Zhu's Weibo updated. Everyone clicked, eager for a statement. Instead, they found only 4 words. The innocent stay innocent. Online vitriol hit a fever pitch. Meanwhile, at Tianmei Entertainment, Liu Li smiled. Despite the company's warnings, she was thrilled to drag Shen Zhu down. She'd paid for those bot accounts. To her, ruining Shen Zhu was worth every penny. Beside her, Sister In looked grim, sensing madness. Liu Li, this is slander. If Buffon decides to sue, you're finished. Liu Li didn't care. She was obsessed with destroying her rival. Slander? If there's nothing going on, why would Buffon write songs for her? They're just playing the virtuous card. It's all a front. Sister In planned her exit. Meanwhile, you were showering when your phone screamed for attention. You stepped out, dripping, to answer it. Surprised to see the name, you answered. Hello, Minister Li. What brings you to call a slacker like me today? Her voice dripped with annoyance. Still acting like a slacker? The trends are practically hijacked by your drama. You scratched your head. Seriously, what's going on? She gritted her teeth. Your wife, Shen Zhu, is being shredded online and you're just sitting there? You froze, your tone turning ice cold. What happened to her? On the other end, Minister Li felt a pang of jealousy. This man turned lethal the moment she was mentioned. Look at the trends yourself. She hung up. You frowned, bewildered, but urgency took over. You didn't have time for her games. You opened Weibo. One look at the headlines, and your face darkened. You read the posts and the comments, your blood boiling. You laughed in fury. They really think my wife is easy prey? And that silly woman, she didn't even tell me, choosing to suffer alone? You wanted to ask her why she kept you in the dark, but first you had a score to settle. If they wanted to play, you'd destroy them. Liu Li never saw the backlash coming. She thought she was winning until the truth hit. She didn't realize Buffon was the man she despised. By 10 in the morning, the hate train was still rolling. Then, Buffon's video dropped. A mystery star with millions, and his fans were relentless. He didn't need platform boosts. The fans took him to the top. He showed his face, ready to stake everything on this crucial moment. When they clicked, they were stunned. It wasn't a PR apology, it was a declaration of love and a literal war cry. You look serious. Hi everyone, I'm Buffon. Just woke up to some ugly rumors. People are questioning my songs and slandering my wife with affair lies. You stared into the lens, your voice rising. Let me be clear. What's wrong with writing songs for my wife? She's quiet, but I'm not. I'm done playing nice. I wanted to live like a normal person, but you've pushed me. I'm dropping the mask. My name is Lufan. Shen Zhu and I retired together because our relationship was exposed. We got married, and we've been together ever since. Now you know why I go by Buffon. And to the person behind these smears and those marketing accounts, I've collected my evidence. You won't escape. Expect your legal notices. The internet went into absolute shock. They'd been arguing all day. They were a married couple. Nobody imagined Buffon was Lufan. It felt surreal. The video went viral instantly. Your fans were rabid, sharing it everywhere. Go ahead, keep lying. They've been a divine couple from the start. Where are the trolls now? Open your eyes and watch. While the internet obsessed over the video, Fanshin Entertainment posted a legal notice. They were suing every account involved in the slander. Legal letters were already flying. The fake accounts would be shut down. Weibo exploded. People realized the hate posts were vanishing. The authors were deleting accounts in panic. Soon, official Weibo stepped in. Over 1,500 accounts spreading lies were banned. The internet isn't a lawless void. With official backing, your video hit #1. Shen Zhou took second. The tide had turned completely. 2 new tags emerged. Devoted husband and the innocent cleansed themselves. Everyone was quoting you. She won't argue, but I will. At home, Shen Zhou knew nothing, just cuddling her daughter while watching cartoons. Suddenly, Sao Chu burst in like a storm. Her face was beaming. She thrust her phone into Shen Zhu's hands. Sister Sen, look, he posted a video. Shen Zhu looked up confused. Sister, stop being so soft. Honestly, you should learn from Lu Fan. That direct approach, satisfying. Sen Yaochu picked up her phone and opened the video. A familiar, commanding voice instantly filled the room. When she finished watching, her mouth fell open. Total shock. Sao Chu kept rambling. But, sister, do you know what the internet calls him now? The doting demon husband. It's hilarious. Hearing that, Sen Yaochu's cheeks flushed. Silently, a sweet feeling bloomed in her heart. Who wouldn't want to be pampered? Thinking this, she left her daughter and rushed to her room. Sao Chu and Wanwan were left alone, staring at each other with wide eyes. However, back in her room, Sen Yaochu hesitated at the call screen. What would she say? Admitting those feelings felt too embarrassing, like she was confessing she'd been jealous or that she liked being treated well. Frustrated, she flopped onto the bed, buried her face in the blanket, and kicked like a child. Finally, she gathered her courage and made a voice call. The next second, you picked up. Your smooth voice came through. Yes? Sen Yaochu kept her face buried in the red blanket to hide her blush, and asked in a muffled tone, "Hello, what are you doing right now?" Who would have thought you wouldn't answer? Instead, you chuckled. "What are you doing?" "Practicing how to suffocate under a blanket." Sen Yaochu gasped, jerking her head up. Her face was bright red and full of panic. How did you know what she was doing? Then she looked at the phone screen. She had accidentally hit video call. Instant social death written all over her face. Sen Yaochu stared, mouth agape, frozen at the sight of you on the screen. You touched your nose, thinking she looked unexpectedly adorable. A second later, she let out a groan and, like an ostrich, buried her face in the blanket again. So embarrassing. A muffled voice came from the blankets. "Don't laugh." Finally, you calmed down and stopped. "Fine, I'm not laughing. I was getting ready to head to the apartment. You're coming to pick me up? Wait for me there." Sen Yaochu finally lifted her head, her almond eyes searching the screen, face still blushing. She didn't ask why you posted that video. Some things didn't need asking. But you took the initiative, your tone turning serious. "But there's something I have to say. Sen Zhou, they were attacking you like that. Why didn't you tell me?" "What exactly am I to you?" Sen Zhou went silent. "You asked what you were to her, and she was lost. But the next second, she found the answer. She liked you. She liked this changed version of you, liked how you cared so carefully for her and her daughter. But past experiences made her afraid to open her heart. However, you were met with a long silence. Then your voice sounded disappointed. It's fine, if you don't want to say it. I am. Come pick me up." The video call cut off abruptly. Only then did Sen Yaochu snap back to reality, remembering your tone. Her heart stung like needles. She had disappointed you. She jumped off the bed. She just wanted to see you as soon as possible. She ran outside. You got into the car, but your mood seemed muted. You just stared quietly out the window. Sen Yaochu didn't start the car. Instead, she turned to look at your profile, took a deep breath, and finally spoke. "Lu Fan, I'm sorry." Only then did you turn your head and see her red-rimmed eyes. A bitter smile formed in your heart. How could she talk about losing something she hadn't truly claimed? You spoke softly. "You don't have to apologize. I'm not the Lu Fan you imagine. No need to feel guilty." Who would have thought she would stare at you and ask, "That Lu Fan, are you him?" You were stunned. You remembered that at the amusement park, she'd asked the same. You scratched your head and could only answer, "I am Lu Fan." "Then you are the Lu Fan I imagine." Her firm response left you completely dazed. You gripped your trembling fists and finally voiced the fear in your heart. "But I'm afraid. I'm afraid that one day you won't need me anymore." "Lu Fan," Sen Yaochu suddenly interrupted, her eyes full of pain for you. She grabbed your trembling hand, leaned gently against you, and declared, word for word, "You are Wanwan's father and my husband. No matter what, we won't leave you. The most important thing is that you are by our side." In those warm arms, hearing those soft words, you instantly got the answer you wanted. You hugged her and smiled. From then on, nothing could shake your heart. A moment later, Sen Yaochu pulled away, embarrassed. You just kept smiling like a fool. She gave you a charming glare and let out a laugh. This fool was far too easy to satisfy. The car drove away, the mood between you both completely shifted. At the same time, at Tianmei Entertainment, Liu Li was screaming, "Impossible! How can Lu Fan be Lu Fan? That pretty boy." Like a madwoman, she swept all the cosmetics off her table. Amidst the crashing sounds, it wasn't enough. She stepped on them hard. Along with the cosmetics, a legal letter sent by Fanjing Entertainment was destroyed. They had discovered her. Seeing things go south, the author of the post surrendered her immediately as the mastermind. The company ordered her to step down. She knew she was finished. Not far away, Sister Yin watched her misery. Indeed, Lu Fan is Lu Fan. He hit it too deep. She couldn't help but sigh. Who would have thought that the pretty boy who no one took seriously 2 years ago would bear his fangs. Sen Yao Chu's judgment was truly good. I don't accept it. Sister Yin, give me your phone. Lu Li roared, eyes bloodshot. But Sister Yin just looked at her coldly. What don't you accept? Can you sing better than her? Are you prettier than her? Even when picking a man, you don't know how to choose like her. I don't accept. Sister Yin's words were like knives stuck in Lu Li's heart. Lu Li snapped her head around, glaring, but Sister Yin wasn't afraid. Did I say something wrong? When contract ends, naturally the company will have already abandoned you. Why? Lu Li gritted her teeth. The company needs cash cows. You have no value left. Sister Yin looked at her and even spoke from the heart. When you get out, find an honest man and marry. Stop fighting. Then I should thank you for your kindness. Lu Li smiled. Finally, they severed all ties. Immediately after, she showed a strange smile. Sister Yin, lend me your phone. We have to finish what we started. No. Sister Yin frowned. What else do you want to do? Die together? Lu Li's smile became eerie. By what right does Sen Yao Chu beat me and everything? She's an orphan. By what right? Since we know Lu Fan, I still have an ace up my sleeve. If I can't touch Sen Yao Chu, I'll make Lu Fan lose all his reputation. No one will have a good ending. Sister Yin watched Lu Li, who seemed completely insane. She knew she was lost. She wanted to tell her that Sen Yao Chu never competed with her, that her character was 10,000 times better, but she couldn't. Any stimulation would make Lu Li lose total control. So Sister Yin handed over the phone. Fine, I'll give you the phone, but this has nothing to do with me. I know. You're scared, haha! Lu Li took the phone and, under Sister Yin's gaze, dialed a number. Chen Shui, it's Lu Li. At the same time in the apartment dining room, the atmosphere was strange. Wanwan was eating happily. Sister Yun smiled. Like an affectionate aunt the whole time. Sao Chu Chu, however, lowered her head, eating while secretly glancing at you and Sen Yao Chu. Sen Yao Chu had her face and neck completely red, as if she wanted to bury her head in the bowl. You, with a goofy smile, personally peeled a crayfish and held it with chopsticks to her mouth. Sen Yao Chu felt like she was being cooked alive. Since getting out of the car, this man hadn't been acting normal, but to you it felt like the most natural thing in the world. She had admitted you were her husband. What was wrong with feeding her? You can stop this. I can do it myself, Sen Yao. Chu finally couldn't help but lift her head, looking at you in shame. That coquetry in her eyes left you dazed. It turned out that being looked at like that by a girl was an incredible feeling. Love really was delicious. Only then did you stop feeding her and turn to Van Gogh. Back on the couch, you finally caught your breath, already wondering what song to pick for round 16. Making it to the top 8 was easy, but the semifinals, that was a different story. The remaining singers were just as skilled as Shen Zhou, making the original song choice critical. Your performance had to be perfect, and 3 days wasn't much time. Even you started stressing over the track. Shen Zhou wasn't slacking, either. She was sitting right there by you, trying to nail that song she'd been obsessed with. But something was missing. A key melody. She frowned, frustrated, like she was chasing a cat that kept darting out of reach. She scratched at her hair until it was a mess. Even late that night, the inspiration wouldn't come. But the next morning, as soon as she woke up, your name exploded online again. At first, she didn't think much of it. Your name had been trending for days. But when she read the actual headline, her eyes widened in horror. Panic gripped her heart immediately. Countless gossip-hungry people saw the trend too. They were so used to seeing your name that they clicked without thinking. But this time, what they saw stopped them cold. Some people even rubbed their eyes, refusing to believe it. The title Lu Fan, the domestic abuser, was explosive. Netizens were frozen in shock at first, then they burst out laughing. What kind of joke was this? Yesterday you were the doting husband, today an abuser? They impatiently opened the video to see who was spouting such nonsense. But as the video played, 2 familiar stern faces appeared. Chen Shui and Yetian, from your old boy band. Chen Shui spoke first. Hi everyone, I'm Chen Shui, Lu Fan's former friend. Why former? Because it shames me to be associated with him. I know you might not believe me, but he's a wife-beater. I have a recorded call as proof. Back then, he begged me to help him get back into the company, and I happened to record it. I never thought it would reveal his hypocrisy. I, Chen Shui, dare to show my face. I'm not afraid to confront him. The netizens went dead silent. He sounded so confident, and reporting with his real name sent shockwaves through the platform. Yadian immediately held up his phone, shaking it. I can testify that Chen Shui is telling the truth. Now, let's all listen to that recording. The moment he hit play, the netizens leaned in, straining to hear. Your voice crackled through the phone. Brother Chen, do you think I can still get back into the company? Chen Shuai's calm voice replied. You're already married to a popular young singer. Why are you still thinking about that? The next second, your voice came back, sounding flippant. Women are just like clothes. My career is what matters. If you want me back, Sinjachu will allow it. You laughed in the recording and said a line that broke the internet. I don't hide anything from her. I'm the boss in this house. If she dares to refuse, I'll just hit her. You can't spoil women. The recording cut off, but the rage erupted everywhere. Disgusting. He calls himself a man? He just hits his own wife. Not only did female fans turn into warriors to insult you, but men were filled with righteous indignation too. In the video, Chen Shui kept fanning the flames, his face twisted with anger. Everyone heard that, right? This is the doting husband they talk about. I, Chen Shui, can't stand with an abuser like him. The video ended abruptly. The comment section had already collapsed. I was blind to ever like someone like this. Listening to that recording makes me want to vomit. How dirty is Lufin in private? Your heart shattered instantly. In the silence you sat watching your phone, listening to the recording. That familiar, sick feeling started to rise up inside you. You rushed to the bathroom and started vomiting, as if you'd been sucked back into that oppressive Lufan persona. Those things were real. They had happened. You couldn't deny the wounds Shen Zhou had suffered. They only hurt more. Your phone kept ringing wildly, but you didn't even look at it. For the first time, you chose to run. You buried yourself under the blanket, hoping it would make you feel better. It wasn't the insults that hurt. It was those memories flooding back. The pain you caused Shen Zhou and Wanwan appeared clearly before your eyes. You realized you had never truly forgiven yourself. Even if you were trying to make amends every single moment, it couldn't change the past. At the same time, Shen Zhou was calling your phone again and again, frantic with worry after seeing the post. Nobody understood you better than her. She had watched your changes, how you were slowly redeeming yourself. She understood the past and didn't care anymore, but she knew the you of today couldn't forgive himself. Sister Yuni and Wanwan were beside her, their faces full of pain, furious and helpless. The phone just wouldn't stop ringing. It was like you'd vanished from the world. Yuchu's heart tightened. Wanwan in her arms looked up. Mommy, why are you calling Daddy? Why don't you go find him? Wanwan's woke Yuchu up. She couldn't sit still anymore. She stood up, panicked, and ran out, stumbling on her own feet to find you. Soon Shen Zhou arrived, gasping for air at your door. She bit her lip and knocked softly. No response. She didn't hesitate. She knocked again and again. She had to get you out today. Finally, inside the blanket, the persistent knocking shook you. You dragged your heavy body up and opened the door. Your eyes met Shen Zhou's, which were swollen and red. Seeing her again after only a day, you didn't even dare look her in the eyes. You stood by the door, frozen. Surely she had seen the post and remembered everything from before. You slipped inside and closed the door, feeling like a prisoner walking to the gallows. What was she thinking? Your voice was raw, your heart full of panic. Now the whole world knew. What would she do? Ask for a divorce? But right then, Shen Zhou caught your gaze and turned angry. She pulled you hard onto the bed, grabbed your arm, and bit down with all her might. An intense pain flared. You woke up instantly. Instinctively you wanted to pull your hand away, but forced yourself to endure it. Let her vent. Maybe she'll feel better. She finally let go and looked up. Seeing your gentle expression, she couldn't hold back her tears anymore. You're a fool, she cried, then pulled up your sleeve. On your arm was a deep, bloody, and shocking row of teeth marks. Good, now we're even, Shen Zhou said through sobs, throwing herself completely into your arms. You were mistreated by me too, we're even. No more allowing yourself to be sad. You were completely stunned. That warm body in your arms felt so unreal. You didn't dare believe it, yet you stroked her hair. It was real. Your mood soared instantly from hell to heaven. You opened your mouth and smiled. Shen Zhou said they were even. Ever since you crossed over, you had been so careful, always feeling indebted. Now finally, someone was telling you that you were even. How wonderful. The tears fell uncontrollably. You weren't just redeeming them, you were redeeming yourself. You two hugged, crying like a pair of fools. Minutes later, after a long silence, Shen Zhou, buried in your arms, said softly, "From now on, you aren't allowed to do this. Wanwan and I will worry about you." You nodded hard, your voice hoarse. "I won't. You only know how to say that." Shen Zhou lifted her head, her face flushed, eyes red and puffy, staring at you. Suddenly, she seemed to remember something and an emotion exploded in her eyes. Hard to hide. "By the way, I think I figured out that melody." "What melody?" You couldn't help but lift your hand to stroke her little. "You do that like you're petting a puppy?" "It's the song I've been creating." Suddenly, I had inspiration. She had barely finished speaking before pulling away to chase the idea. You scratched your head with a bit of regret, took some sheet music from your backpack and handed it over. "I was originally going to write a song tonight. Use these." Shen Zhou nodded, face glowing, and sat cross-legged on the bed, creating rapidly. She hummed melody and her pen flew across the page. In a flash, a complete song appeared. She looked up, beaming at you. "I finally did it. Want to see?" You shook your head, smiling warmly. I asked her to sing. Shen Zhou blushed deep red, murmuring that she had no lyrics yet. I hummed the melody. She finally joined in, smiling. She sang shyly. No accompaniment, just her soft hum. Yet the moment that melody hit my ears, I was stunned. Pure surprise. That tune, I recognized it. It was from my original world. I couldn't believe it. I listened closely until the fragment ended. "Wait," I interrupted, grabbing paper and pen. I started scribbling fast. Shen Zhou looked confused, but when she leaned in to see what I was writing, a brilliant light exploded in her eyes. Courage. 2 massive characters. Courage. That was the lyric. I'd only heard her hum it once, yet the words flowed. She leaned closer, genuinely shocked and happy. It was exactly what she dreamed of, better even. Her face flushed, her gaze shifting from the paper to my serious profile. Guided by some strange force, she kissed my cheek. My hand shook, ink smearing. I felt struck by lightning. That soft, damp sensation on my right cheek burned like a brand. I bowed my head, staring at the paper. Fireworks exploded in my heart. This was the courage she wanted. But after the kiss, Shen Zhou panicked, bowing her head. wishing she could vanish into the floorboards. Luckily, I kept my cool. Otherwise, she surely would have bolted. I knew how sensitive she was, so I stifled my racing heart and kept on writing the lyrics. Finally, I acted natural and handed her the sheet. Look, try singing the whole thing now. She finished, and I nodded with a smile. It sounds perfect. The next competition is in the bag. She credited my writing. I insisted that without my wife's melody, I'd never have found such a song. Mutual praise. But the moment I said wife, Shen Zhou crumbled. Like an ostrich, she buried her face in my chest, heart full of shame and sweetness. But before I could enjoy that beautiful moment, a shrill phone ring shattered the atmosphere. I grabbed it. Minister Li. I raised an eyebrow. It seemed she had seen the post too. As I answered, my voice soft, asking very carefully, are there some nasty opinions online? Aren't you going to clear things up? I instinctively looked at Shen Zhou. She was pretending to study the sheet music, but her wandering eyes betrayed her. I winked. Her face turned bright red, and she looked away in a panic. Then I dropped a bombshell over the line. No need to clear it up. It is all true. Dead silence on the other end. After a long pause, Li's disbelieving voice returned. Why? I don't believe it. I cut her off directly. Minister Li, how well do you really know me? Everything online is true. If you do wrong, you face the punishment. As for those opinions, let them talk. My eyes stayed fixed on Shen Zhou, extremely gentle. As long as those who matter to me understand, that is enough. Silence returned. Li's voice sounded defeated. Fine, I understand. I am hanging up. As soon as I put the phone down, Shen Zhou spoke slowly. You are too cold. That is not good. I was full of question marks. Me cold? Who would have thought? She would add another line, her eyes darkening slightly. That woman should like you. Li likes me? I scratched my head, an instant headache forming. I treat her just like a normal friend. But how do you know? Shen Zhou snapped her head up, staring me down. Her tone was firm. Intuition. I trust my gut. I scratched my head, being honest. Your intuition is wrong. I am a man with a wife and daughter. Feeling something for another would be disrespectful. Love must be serious and exclusive. Seeing my sincerity, she nodded softly, but a sense of urgency rose in her heart. Just because I didn't like others, didn't mean they didn't like me. That mature woman was far more prominent than her. I looked at her, puzzled, remembering our talk from before, and suddenly realized. My eyes crinkled with a smile as I nudged her arm. Are you jealous? Shen Zhou panicked, her face turning completely red. No. Her voice was loud, but her reaction was even louder. Case closed. She was jealous. The smile on my lips widened. I watched her act in silence. Who knew that the more she tried to hide it, the more Shen Zhou would panic? Embarrassed and annoyed, she finally couldn't resist my gaze, and, as if surrendering, threw the sheet music onto the bed. Yes, I am jealous. Who wouldn't be if a beautiful woman liked you? My smile only grew. The next second I leaned in suddenly, my voice thick with temptation. So, how about I put a stamp on you? Then you won't be jealous anymore. My face was so close her breath hit my skin. Shen Zhou's heart leaped, hammering against her ribs, faster and faster, as if it might jump right out of her throat. Under my gaze, she slowly closed her eyes and parted her lips. Joy filled my heart. I closed my eyes and leaned in. Then Shen Zhou was off to compete in the round of 8 for the new song encounter. She was practicing at Fans and Entertainment. I returned to the apartment alone. The nanny's sister Yoon was home with my daughter. Her attitude toward me was complex, grateful for my recent changes, yet remembering the harm I caused Shen Zhou before. But seeing me love and care for my family, she felt relieved. She told me Shen Zhou was at the office. Hearing that, I decided to take Wanwan to surprise my wife. At that moment, the online insults were still raging. Netizens even formed groups to report me, hoping Shen Zhou would seize the chance to divorce. However, Shen Zhou's Weibo suddenly posted a pinned update. How lucky I am to have found a good person in this life. If a gentleman corrects his mistakes, everyone can accept it. My heart accepts it too. Those 2 sentences made netizens explode, speculating if she was being controlled. I brought Bongwan to Fans and Entertainment and ran into Chen Qian, another contestant. Chen Qian was a fan of Lu Fan. Seeing me in person, he thought I was kind and approached me for an autograph. Then I reached the recording studio. Through the class, I watched Shen Zhou singing seriously, my eyes full of tenderness. Finishing the song, she saw us and filled with surprise and shy, sweet joy, she called me husband. The second phase of the new song encounter arrived as planned, with record-breaking popularity. I brought Bongwan in a mask, arriving discreetly. The opponent of Shen Zhou was South eBay from Sensei Entertainment. Before the competition began, viewers shouted, asking if she wrote that Weibo post herself or if she was forced. Shen Zhou looked firmly at me in the audience and announced aloud, I like Lu Fan, he is very good, some loves are just destined. Then the big screen displayed the song name, Courage, Lu Fan. Music, Shen Zhou. The intro played. She sang with deep emotion, the lyrics striking right at the heart. That direct confession left the entire audience and netizens completely speechless. It turned out this wasn't a critique session, but a downpour of sugar. As the song ended, public opinion shifted entirely. Everyone began to bless these lovers walking toward each other. Finally, Shen Zhou advanced to the semi-finals with a high vote count. After the show, Fans and Entertainment seized the moment to clarify that I never committed domestic violence, that it was a mutual love. That night, I held Shen Zhou's hand, walking the streets like a couple in the throes of new love. We toured food stalls and caught a movie. I couldn't help but steal kisses, making her extremely shy. Though small misunderstandings and awkwardness remained, our relationship was heating up fast. After that brief reunion, I took Bangwan back to Hengshang, and Senjochu, you shifted into prep mode for the next round. Back in Hengshang, you were busy finding a preschool for Wanwan. Despite missing the enrollment window, thanks to her popularity, you managed to get her into the Hyangwa school without a hitch. Meanwhile, a conspiracy brewed in Modu. Jin Ping, a senior executive at Fangshan Entertainment, teamed up with mentors Wang Bin and Ranxia Axiao to sabotage you. They aimed to rig the next round so Sen Yuchu would lose to Chen Qian. They even invited the so-called godfather of music Gumian to write a track for Chen Qian for the third phase of the contest. They were pulling every dirty trick in the book to ensure your protege failed. During the show, host Chen Shui deliberately stirred the pot, asking if Sen Yuchu's new song was still written by you. Sen Yuchu just responded with calm confidence. When it was her turn, Sen Yuchu performed Flower C. It was top tier. The beautiful intro hooked the audience immediately, and her delivery was so deeply moving, it felt like she was holding her own private concert. The applause was deafening. By comparison, Chen Qian's sweet pop song sounded flat and dull next to Flower C. But then during the voting phase, disaster struck. Even though Gao Yu voted for Sen Yuchu, and Sui Yu gave a courtesy vote to Chen Qian, Wang Bin and Ranxia Axiao both rigged their votes for Chen Qian, pushing her into the lead. The crowd was shocked, and shouts of affix filled the room. But just then, Sui Yu stood up. Excuse me, host, I have to interrupt. There's a serious issue with these votes. I need to apologize to Sen Yuchu and the audience. I'm truly sorry. I received a message from Jin Ping at Fangshan Entertainment. He told me both girls were under their management, and if the gap was too wide, I had to give Chen Qian a sympathy vote so she wouldn't lose. So embarrassingly. But it backfired and Chen Qian pulled ahead. I'm responsible for this. Because of me, Sen Yuchu was eliminated. I'm resigning as a mentor from the show. The backlash was immediate. Chen Qian even announced retirement, admitting that Sen Yuchu's performance was leagues ahead. The director, Ren Chao, managed the chaos by calling for a revote and clearing the corrupt mentors. Sen Yuchu finally advanced. Jin Ping was fired from Fangshan, and the disgraced mentors saw their reputations go up in flames. But the drama wasn't over. Gumian was furious that his song lost to yours. He called you out publicly on Weibo, challenging you to a showdown in the finals. His provocation set the internet on fire, with media outlets hyping up a clash between the old guard and the new. You didn't back down. You fired back. If you want to fight, let's fight. Fangshan Entertainment quickly jumped in, inviting Gumian to write a song for their finalist, Miao Anjun. The theme for the first round of the finals was tragedy and terror. For an expert like Gumian, it was a godsend. For you, it was a massive challenge. Sen Yuchu was worried, but you seemed completely unfazed. To find inspiration, she even went with you to watch horror movies, and ended up getting pretty scared herself. That fear, however, only brought you two closer. By the next day, you had the new track ready. On the night of the final, with the world watching, Miao Anjun took the stage first. She sang Cancer, written by Gumian. The first half described a patient's suffering, and the second half was pure, oppressive music. It was dense and abstract, but Gumian was incredibly confident in its artistry. Then Sen Yuchu stepped up. She wore a grand red wedding dress, a phoenix crown, and melancholic makeup. Her eyes looked hauntingly empty. The song title slowly faded in. The music started. The erhu and pipa wove a desolate melody. Sen Yuchu began to sing, her operatic style catching everyone off guard. The lyrics described a ghost marriage, never mentioning grief directly, yet every line dripped with it. As the song built, the sona wailed, pushing the atmosphere to a breaking point. That horror and sorrow cut straight to the bone, making the audience's skin crawl. Sen Yuchu didn't blink once. The internet dubbed her the most beautiful ghost bride ever. She crushed Cancer with a landslide victory, sweeping the votes 4-0 with 88 points from the crowd. Gumian was utterly defeated. He kept his word, surrendered his title as the godfather of music, and apologized. After the show, you waited for Sen Yuchu outside. She told you that Sao Chuchu had already left, and she didn't have her apartment keys. You both understood the implication. You headed to the hotel, the tension between you thick and heavy. After she showered, you found her crying. She opened up, admitting she felt unworthy of you. That the closer she got, the more terrified she was of losing you. You gently cupped her face. You told her that you used to feel inferior too, and that she was the one who made your heart feel alive again. You told her that everything was fate, and what fate arranges is always the greatest. Your words wiped away her tears, and she smiled. You embraced tightly, finally, understanding each other's feelings completely. Two hearts were now joined without reservation. From here on out, you would walk hand in hand, facing the wind, the rain, and the glory together.